and without being thrown off kilter. Does that make sense, guys? And if that makes sense, put it in the chat. She's like, got it. Yeah, you call yours nuggets. I love it. I love it, Sandra. Right? So absolutely. As you are planning that calendar, really take a moment. And this is, once again, this is you time. And for those of you who do have a team or you have staff, you can collaboratively do this with your staff or your team as well. Okay, you can pick their brains in terms of what events have I forgotten about? What events have we not done? Right? What do we want to do in the next coming year? How do we want to plan that out? How that's going to help you is because now, given each event that's coming up, you can now backtrack your steps in sharing, okay, for this particular event that's coming up, here are the social media posts that I want to talk about leading up to that event. How do I do that, Dominique? You can always share posts, even if you don't have any events or anything. What if I don't have any of that? 2 things you can always share on social media if you're just starting out is education and promotion of your business. Education and promotion of your business. For some of you, that education should be sharing your free resources with people that's going to allow them to take action in their own lives and in their own businesses. And then also it's going to allow them to enter into your world. Remember, I talked about this morning in my morning session, I talked about CRMs. And once again, see how we're talking about that social media piece and that technology piece and how it's becoming a part of that conversation. This is what I mean. So you have your CRM, you have your free resources, sharing with people how they can actually advance their own missions as a result of what you do in your business. Okay. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you have. I don't care if you're a hairdresser or a candlestick maker. It doesn't matter. You can show people what kind of wick do you need to have for a longer lasting candle. People want to know that. So now when they go shopping for a candle, they're like, that's why my candles have been burning out so quickly. I'm choosing the wrong brand. I'm choosing the wrong wick, right? Those kind of things are always beneficial on social media. Why? Social media, and I want you to really wrap your head around this. When it comes to social media, people leave out the social part all the time and how we approach this thing. You're not talking to a bot, even though there's bots, there's messenger bots out there now, right? But you're not talking to a bot. You're talking to a person. You're talking to a human, the same way you would if we were in the real world and shaking people's hand and meeting them and saying, hello, hi, how nice to meet you, sir, ma'am, right? You're talking to actual people. So the same way you'd be in a physical setting, sharing information with one another, we do this every day. This back and forth conversation, we do it every day. Social media is just laying a platform so that you can have that same conversation. Period. Right? That is why people excel on social media, because they're aware of that fact. They're always keeping in their mind, and I want you to write this down, right? Right? Thank you, Veronica. Absolutely. I want you to write this down. Listen, I know who I'm talking to. When I'm on social media, I know exactly who I'm talking. I know exactly who I help. Now, a lot of this, guys, I need to be very, very clear and very, very frank with you. If you do not know your brand, social media is and will be hard for you. I'm going to say that again. Y'all know, if you were here in the morning session, you know how I bring it, okay? I love you, I promise. Right? Right? But it's very true. If you do not know your brand, social media is going to be very hard for you. The same way, and I realize the social aspect, if you don't know who you are, interacting with people is going to be very hard for you. Huh? So it's the same thing. You have to know your brand. You have to know how do I want my brand to speak to people? When people enter into my world, how do I want them to feel? Right? What are the conversations that we have? Right? What are the aspirations? What are they aspiring to do? Right? What are their struggles? What are their pain points? What wakes them up at 3:00 in the morning? Right? in order to have a dialogue with me, you have to feel me. You have to understand me. So if you don't know that, you're going to find yourself in a frustrating position because you're like, oh, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why aren't people clicking? They're not clicking because you're not speaking to them. You're not speaking to them in a way that they want to be spoken to. You're not speaking to them in a way that's going to attract them to your brand so that they can be helped by what you're putting out there. Yeah. So that's really, really important. Anything that I'm saying now, put that on your list. Here's things that I want to do better. I need to understand my brand better. And you can seek out, there's so many branding coaches, branding courses, brand strategists. I am a visual brand strategist. If you want to make your company and your business look the part according to your vision and be competitive in your market, just like the big boys, that's why people come to Dynamic Endeavors. Right? So if you want to create an amazing brand from scratch, there's so many opportunities to work with people who will help you to navigate and define what that is. I talked about it in my morning session. I'll talk about it again. YouTube is your friend. That's how you find those people. I just cut out all the mess for you in terms of how do I find them? First of all, I want you to start at the Black Business Expo and find who you need to work with in order to advance your business. Yes, we're here in full force and full effect. And then I want you to go to YouTube, right? See if you feel that person out. YouTube is good for that, right? Feel that person out. Can they understand me? So what if there's an audience that does not partake in those days? How do we differ the two? Okay, so I'm assuming, Sandra, that you're saying, what if we're reaching an audience that doesn't partake in social media, right? What happens then, right? How do we do that, right? Right? So, okay, here's the thing, right? When social media sites, which social media are you currently using and what influenced the decision to choose those? Great question, Veronica. I'll get to that in a second too. So definitely if they're not currently on social media and how do you reach them, understand that today in this session here, we are just talking about social media. This is just one tool in your complete toolbox that you can use to reach your audience. Got that? All right. So with that being said, there are other ways in which you can reach your audience. There's email marketing. There's phone calls, right? You can do not forsake the tried and true here, people. Call them. Ring them up. Hi, Denise. How are you today? How can I help you? Right? What's going on in your world? That is good. Right? Use the phone, right? But definitely email marketing, phone calls, right? You have, ads, Instagram ads, all of these different things, right? You have different marketing tactics in your toolbox, okay? Now, in today's day and age, especially with everything going on with the pandemic, you might be limited in some resources, but often not. Listen, partnerships are still real. You may not be able to reach them on social media, but you can partner with someone else who does reach your target market. You hearing me? So we're talking about social media today, but don't forsake what else you have in your marketing toolbox. Social media is just one of them. And the intricacies and the delicacies of social media is just one avenue, right? It's a really deep avenue, but it is one of the many. Do you see why it should be impossible for you to not make the revenue you are looking for in your business? There's so many options for you to excel. Find that lane that speaks to your business and speaks to your strengths and dive deep into that lane. Right? Don't overwhelm yourself with everything. Remember, that's why I started it off. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything. Dive into what speaks to your talents and to what is actually feeding your audience. I think someone asked the question, what social media platforms are we using and what influenced that decision? I'm going to answer that question in a different way, and I'm going to tell you why. Because what works for us is not going to work for you. What might work for one might not work for another. There are people on YouTube who are pulling their hair out because they're not getting the traction that they're looking for, that they were promised. And it's because, and it could be a lot of the time, it's because they're not good on video. Being on video gives them the heebie-jeebies, right? For me, not so much, right? That's why I have a YouTube channel. I use YouTube, right? I have people excuse me, who reach out from YouTube, who research everything about me on YouTube. They're like, especially people who hire me to speak and things of that nature, they go to my YouTube. How do I know? Because I asked them, how did you find me? We found you on YouTube, Dominique. We saw your last speaking engagement. We saw this speaking engagement. We love what you said. We need you to come tell our people about that. That's how they find me, right? But you have some people who are not good on YouTube. So in all of the social media landscape with the Instagram and the TikTok and the Twitter and the Facebook and all of these things, Snapchat, right? You need to approach your social media platforms the same way. Where are your people already hanging out on social media? Now, I always am a little bit iffy when strategists or experts give advice using that, because it's a two-way street whether they like it or not. Just because your audience may be hanging out on Snapchat doesn't mean that you're going to be best suited for Snapchat. So that's why it's always good to have a mix in your social media mix, right? Have platforms of where your audience currently is and find your sweet spot and how you're playing and how you're speaking in that lane as well. But also what platform speaks to you, and I didn't say or, and does your audience already hang out in that area as well? So I hope that was a good answer for you. Definitely Facebook is really good for us. Initially, when I first started live streaming, I was on Periscope. Periscope is still really good to me. I have a very loyal following on Periscope. And that is how they're introduced to everything that we do here at Dynamic Endeavors. I help them, I show them, I answer their questions just like we're doing now, having this dialogue. I love having you guys here. Thank you for being here, right? And I help them the same way I am speaking to you guys right now. It's the same way my Periscope people get it too. They know they're going to get the real answer. They know they're going to get all the fun and, all that kind of stuff. They know they're going to get happy, cheery Dom, right? But they know I'm going to give them the real honest and strategic answers that's going to help them move forward. So that's my answer to that. So once again, you going back to your social media plan, because that's why we're here, right? Here to make this easier for you. You reviewed what you were doing before and all the good and the bad. Be honest with yourself now, because you want the goodness of that work to show up in your revenue. Yeah, the goodness of it, right? More, right? Do the honest work of doing the review beforehand, yeah, right? Then in the now, you are so welcome. You're so welcome, Sandra. Right? Do the work now where you are creating a content plan for yourself or your business, right? If you're a personal brand, it will be you, right? Yes, I use LinkedIn and Facebook, attempted Twitter and Instagram, but found they were. Yeah, see? So everyone play around with it. Still have a presence there, but you can always dive deeper into one platform than another, right? So have places where people can find you, but dive deeper into the platforms that really speak to you, that you're comfortable with, that you are still reaching your audience at the same time. It's an and situation, not an or. Okay, it's an and situation. It's not an or. All right. So that's lovely, lovely. Glad to hear that. So now you're doing your content plan. You're going through. Now, can I tell you guys, if you are here right now, you are in such a good space. It's not too late for you, because 2021 is around the corner. You blink, these holidays gonna fly by like this, baby. Fly. They are. I'm telling you. And so 2021 is around the corner. And so if you can do this now, this is not only going to help your social media, it's going to help your content plan for the rest of your business for all of 2021. And don't get caught up in, did I do it right? Did I do it perfectly? As you continue this habit, put it on your calendar, right? That it's time to start the social media plan or our content plan for the next year. Put that on your calendar, right? A good time to start doing that is around that September, October mark, right? Really, really August, September, but September is a really good sweet spot where you're starting to look at the content and the plans that you need to do or implement for next year. It gives you a good lead time, right? Of course, you want to do that earlier as you can, but that's really a sweet spot of when you should start. I know I get that question often. They're just like, well, when should we start that? Don't do it December 31st. If you're doing it December 31st, fine. As long as you're doing it, that's fine. But if you can prevent the last minute aspect of it, start around that September mark so you can really start planning what the year is going to look like ahead. That is how you stay on the cutting edge. And that is how you stay ahead of the curve. So that way you know what to implement moving forward. And it takes the burden off of, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do today? What am I going to say today? How am I going to say it? Why? Because you can go back to your content plan. You can go back to your content plan and be like, oh, yeah, I remember. I remember where I'm supposed to be right now. Right? Because you have all of your events mapped out, any of your offerings or classes or anything of that mapped out. Holiday seasons, for those of you who are in e-commerce, right? If you're launching something new, you want to make sure that's on your content calendar as well. Because up until that launch moment, right? Up until that launch moment, you want to share that content that's going to generate that excitement, right? Yes. She's like, yeah, I do find myself doing that. Yeah, it's got to be perfect. I know. I am a former perfectionist. I am still working on it today. I understand. So I make sure to always talk to my perfectionists out there, because you, especially when you are like operating at your height, right? Like you always want to go for the best, go for the best, go for the best. Sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves, and sometimes you got to give yourself grace to grow. That's where the growth happens. You can't grow if you're already great. Right? And even the greats still have more greatness to obtain, right? And so it's same thing with your social media planning. Get yourself in the habit of starting that now if you haven't been doing it already. If you have been doing it already, I want you to revisit those steps. I want you to review what you've been doing before, what has been working, what hasn't been working, because you need to know, you need a benchmark as to how you can succeed moving forward. You can't just implement everything that everyone tells you because you don't know, well, was it helping what I did before? Well, you don't know if it was helping what you did before because you didn't establish what needed to be helped. Right? So that's why that review is important. Research and anything that you do is always important to do first before you move forward. Okay. Review in this current time. Now you reviewed, you start your content plan, and now moving forward, which I'm glad the question was asked earlier. Now moving forward, what I want you to do is implement the tools and the strategies and the social media platforms that's going to help accelerate where you're trying to go. If that means you want to have 100,000 followers, what tool, strategy, and plans are going to help you to accelerate that according to what you already have planned in your business? Does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? So if I know I'm trying to acquire 100,000 followers and be realistic about these goals, SMART goals. You ever heard of those? SMART, measurable, attainable, right? What was the other one? That it's relevant. Yes, right? Is it relevant to what's happening right now, right? And is it time bound, right? Be realistic about these times that you have on the goals that you have, right? Saying I want to get 100,000 followers in a month. Well, that means you got to have 100,000 followers in a month, money. Right? To really explode and use those tools and those platforms to get those numbers ASAP. That means you need to hire a team. That means you need to put a lot of money in ads. That means you got to go full force. So be realistic. Gotta be realistic about these goals. The same thing about people who are educating you about social media. If someone is saying, yeah, see how I got 100,000 followers in 2 days, that might not work for you. and be realistic about how they got to the successes that they have reached. What else did they do behind the scenes that helped them get there? It's not always a blanket slate for everyone. That's where everyone's successes and failures come from, right? You have to stay true to self. You have to stay true to your brand. Got it? Got to be specific. Yes? So that's what we're doing. So now that you're being specific, right? Okay. Okay. So yeah, so you definitely want to be specific. You definitely want to know where you're going, especially for, let's say, okay, my goal is to make $1 million in a year. Okay, great. What social media platforms are going to help me to get there? What social media tactics and ads are an accelerator, but you can't use ads if you haven't nailed the basis of where you're going, right? You want those ads to play with your technology. You want those ads to play with your website. One bonus tip that I'll share before I wrap up for the day. I don't want to leave y'all, but I love y'all. But one bonus tip that I definitely want to share, and it's something that makes our efforts really effective with our clients, is that we always tie the efforts back to revenue or an increase in membership or an increase in email or their email database, right? People who are part of their world who sign up to want to hear more about them, right? Each of your social media efforts should tie back to something revenue based. If you really want to see social media work for your bottom line, for your revenue, right? For your profits, dare I say, it should always be tying back to that revenue based effort. That, my friends, that, my dynamic creator, is how you stay out of this wheelhouse of, I feel like I'm posting and I'm posting and I'm posting and I'm not getting anywhere. Well, were you strategic about what you were posting? Your content calendar is your gateway to doing that. You being clear about where you want to take your company and your vision is your way of doing that. All right. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. My name is Dominique Hart. Again, you can find me at dominiquehart.com. I hope that this was amazing for you all. I hope this was beneficial to you all. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Like I said, if you want to reach out to me, if you want to hire me for any speaking engagements, certainly reach out to me at dominiquehart.com. That way you can get in contact with Donna, my booking manager. She is going to take a beautiful care of you. And if you want to reach out to me directly about your visual brand and your social media, maybe you want a social media audit, head on over to dynamicendeavors.com. That's DYNAMIK, being kingdom minded, right? K, endeavors, ENDEAVORS.com. And if someone asks for my email, you can certainly email us at contact us. Yes, that's right. Contact us at dynamicendeavors.com. And either my team or myself, we will definitely get back to you about your dynamic endeavors. Thank you guys so much for having me. Love you.
Well, thank you, Dominique Hart of Dynamic Endeavors, for that amazing presentation. I hope Dominique left you feeling empowered, refocused, and inspired going into 2021. If you do not know your brand, social media will be hard for you. You must know your brand. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to stay true to your brand. Great wisdom keys, Dominique. We really appreciate you and all that you're doing. Again, if you want to connect with Dominique, please feel free to go to dynamicendeavors.com. Dynamic is spelled DYNAMIK. Endeavors, ENDEAVORS.com. Again, my name is Terrence Staten with Center for Home Ownership and Economic Development. I am the director of our business academy here in North Carolina. And like the Business Expo USA, the Black Business Expo USA, we're committed to educating small to medium businesses like you. Our mission is to help you start, develop, and grow. We are so excited to partner with the Black Business Expo USA Olympics this year. It is my pleasure to co-host this session. Please allow me to introduce your next speaker. This gentleman is a true champion in the business community. His name is Mr. George Frazier of Frazier Net. How are you doing, Mr. Frazier?
I'm doing wonderful. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great, 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 great. Good seeing you. Thank
Good
you
to
so
see you as well. I'm so excited to co-host your session today. You're such a pillar, as I mentioned before. You are a champion in the business community, and we're so looking forward to what you have for us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, to a family of 11 children, 8 boys and 3 girls. My father came to this country in the early 1900s from Guyana, married a beautiful fair-skinned sister, Ida Mae Baldwin from Lumpkin, Georgia. And mom became mentally ill when I was 2. And my father was a cab driver in New York. He couldn't take care of 11 children. So I was orphaned and for 3 years, and then spent the balance of my young life in toxic foster care. Not a put down of foster care. It's just that those homes that I was in were not good. And I aged out of foster care, and no one thought I was college material. So I was put in a vocational high school and got a vocational diploma in carpentry, Terrence. And the rest is history. I went on to, of course, be selected by Barack Hussein Obama and received a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I was inducted into the Minority Business Hall of Fame and Museum. I've built 3 systems. One, a financial education or literacy system called WINS, Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum, which are being installed in the historically Black church to address the problem of financial illiteracy in Black America. I started a new nation called Fraser Nation, Citizens of Generational Wealth. Last year, we launched the nation, and yes, we have our own Declaration of Interdependence, we have our own Constitution, and we have our own flag. And I've been putting on the Power Networking Conference for now 19 years. Just finished with the virtual Power Networking Conference. Forbes magazine named our conference one of the top 5 conferences in America for Black people not to be missed. Not really for Black people, but one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. And so I'm well decorated with 3 honorary doctorate degrees from historically Black colleges. And, been married to the same sister. Yes, I am Black, for those of you who are not entirely sure. Been married to the same sister for 48 years. Have 2 beautiful sons who got married and then had children, which is exactly what Nora Jean and I did. We got married and then we had children. All right. So I'm a proud father of 2 and grandfather of 3 girls. And, I've written 6 best-selling books on networking. The first one being Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African-American Community. I wrote 27 years ago. It is a modern-day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically Black colleges. It is the book that started the networking conversation in Black America and ultimately started the networking movement. And so my life's work, God's purpose for me, is to talk about the power and importance of the relationships in our lives and to help us close the income and wealth gap between Blacks and whites in America, and to get our minds right, because we have some stinking thinking in our culture. And I believe that too many of our people are out of their natural minds, and that we need to understand better who we are, and do what God has put us here to do as God's first people. And if God has produced his first people in his image, what color is God? The first people on earth were found, were discovered 75,000 years ago in the Olduvai Gorge in Ethiopia. If you've ever been to Ethiopia, and I have been, those folks are blue-black, right? So we come in all shapes, sizes, skin tones, and hair textures. So that's the beauty of us, and that's what I've been championing for 75 years. So today I will speak as an elder to our brothers and sisters. Eric is a very good friend of mine from almost 20 years ago. So I'm honored to be on this platform. And thank you so much for asking that question, Terrence.
No problem. And I want to correct myself. I address you as Mr. George Fraser. It's actually Dr. George Fraser. So I want to make that correction, that distinction.
Well, I receive it. I receive it.
No problem. Well, today we're going to talk about networking in the 21st century.
Yes, we are. And we're going to
Okay.
talk about the most important thing that our people can be doing, other than closing the income and wealth gap, to succeed in this country.
Okay, sounds good. Well, look, I am looking forward to your session. I'm pretty sure everyone else is. We're already getting many comments coming in. They are rejuvenated and ready to go. So, Dr. George Fraser, CEO of Fraser Net, we are so looking forward to your session.
Thank you so much. I'm ready when you are. Hi, everybody. Again, this is Dr. George Fraser. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to tune into this particular session. I'm going to speak to you as an elder at 75 years old. I'm the oldest of the baby boomers. The youngest of the baby boomers are 55 years old. I'm going to talk about the 7 biggest mistakes you make when networking that will ruin your business and destroy your reputation. All right. So the things that I'm about to say will be straight, no chaser. Again, I'm from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York, and they say brothers from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York, born 1945. Yes, I actually met Jackie Robinson at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, New York. But they say brothers from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York are either thugs or gangsters, right? I'm a gangster, and you're going to find out how gangster I am. I'm an OG gangster. You're going to find out how gangster I am in the next 35 or 40 minutes. I'm going to try to get through this and leave some time to answer questions. My presentation, I think, will be informative, but certainly provocative. And that's what I want to do. I want to provoke you. I want you to begin thinking as beautiful African people and to understand who you really are and the power that God has vested in you. Okay? So let me start by saying this. We must stop being spectators to success. Being angry, brothers and sisters, is not a business plan. We need strategy and not just emotions, which means that we must all effectively utilize the relationship capital that we work on and build to help us grow and succeed throughout our life. That's what we must do. Relationship capital. Let me say that a different way. The only way that you can live is if you grow. And the only way that you can grow is if you change. And the only way that you can change is if you learn. And the only way that you can learn is if you are exposed. And the only way that you can become exposed, brothers and sisters, is if you throw yourself out into the open. Go out and meet people. Relationships are key. Key. You will not get where you're going in life without cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. Now, this is not something Dr. George Fraser invented. This is biblical. It is a direct quote from Jesus Christ, John 5:30. I want you to read that in its entirety when I finish with this presentation. Remember, I said it's a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are 800,000 words in the Bible. And only 1,100 of those words, brothers and sisters, are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now, this was Jesus. Jesus couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. Jesus had 12 disciples. One turned on him. that left 11 disciples, which is a magical number. What do I mean by that? The goal of you building relationships is to build relationships not with the person where 1 + 1 makes 2. No. You're looking to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships at work, at home, and in the community where 1 + 1 makes 11. That's the kind of relationship building that you have to be focused on for your entire life. There are 8 passages in life, if you're lucky. Each passage is about 10 years. Let me say that differently. You're a different person at 10 years old than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 years old than you were at 10. Let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20. You're a different person at 40 than 30. You're a different person at 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. You're constantly evolving as your relationships, as your circle of friends will also evolve. As your life changes, so will your circle of friends change. Let us pray. There's only one person in my life right now who has been with me all 75 years of my life. And that is my sister, Dr. Emma Fraser Pendleton, living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I love her dearly. But there's only one person that has remained in my life for all 75 years. So relationships are key. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you're hanging out with 5 broke people, within a year, you're going to be the 6th broke person. And the fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already where you want to be. If you're the smartest person in your network, you're in the wrong damn network. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you, don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. If you are not where you want to be in life, brothers and sisters, it's because you don't have the right people in your life. This is critically important in your business life. And most of us are in some form of business, whether it's profit or nonprofit. 95% of Black people are employed in the business world, in the public, private, or independent sector. About 5% of us have our own business. So business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in is the business of building relationships. That's the business that you are really in. Are you building relationships to, in fact, improve and advance your life and your knowledge? Or are you still hanging out with the same circle of friends that you were at 20 or 30? You see, the people we are in relationships with are always a mirror reflecting our own beliefs, and simultaneously, we are mirrors reflecting their beliefs. So relationships is one of the most powerful tools for growth. If we look at this honestly, and you look at your relationships honestly, we can see so much about how we have created them and how we have created our lives. Let me say it again. As your life changes, your circle of friends must change. Now, I could spend all day talking about strategies and tactics for networking. I am a master at this subject. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. I've built one of the most powerful and most effective networks in the history of Black America. What are some of the mistakes that I have observed over my 40 years of service to our people? Yes, I am a race man. Make no mistake about that. What is a race man or a race woman? It is someone that has committed their time, talent, and treasure to the investment and upliftment of his own people first. So I am a student of Black people. I love Black people. And the only way you can serve Black people is to love Black people. I love who I am. Do you love who you are? You see, because if you do not love you, there is no way that you can love me. And I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I do not like what I see. There's no way that I can love you because you become a reflection of me. Are you acting in accordance to loving Black people first? Now, I'm not saying only. I just said first. 27 years ago, when I wrote the book, Success Runs in Our Race, I'm going to show you that book right now. If you have not seen it, you can still pick it up on Amazon. This is what the book looks like. Here it is. Success Runs in Our Race. I wrote this book 27 years ago. In the book, I begged Black people to think race and culture first, but not only. To do for self, to do for your family, and then to do for our people. Let me say that another way. White people will not be saving Black people. I hope you know that. It has been 400 years, brothers and sisters, and we're not saved. No one is coming to help us or to save us. We, as Barack Obama said when he became president, we are the ones we are looking for. It is in the Bible. God says, God helps those who help themselves. And when God sees us helping ourselves with all the muscle and might that we can muster, that is when God comes in. So we must demonstrate to our Creator that we are ready, willing, and able to, in fact, help ourselves. And we know that God uses imperfect people. We are not perfect. There is no one on the planet that is perfect. And we have gone through a psychological holocaust second to none in the history of humankind. The most egregious form of slavery ever invented by humankind, because it was intergenerational slavery. If when you became a slave, your children were enslaved, your grandchildren were enslaved, your great-grandchildren, and that went on for 12 generations, 250 years nearly. So we must do this. We will do it by connecting the dots, leveraging more effectively our collective resources and intellectual capital. We are an awesome and powerful people. I've traveled every place that Black people have been dispersed. I've been to South Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, West Africa, North Africa, all over South America, and all over the Caribbean. And there are no Black people in the entire world doing better than we are. In fact, we are the beacon of hope for every single person of African descent. And we know, because the Bible tells us, too much is given, much is required. We are an awesome and powerful people. God works in mysterious ways. We are a $1.8 trillion economy, annual economy. If we were a nation, we would be the 16th richest nation in the entire world. I'm talking about Black folk in the United States. We have over 500 billion hours of formal education and professional training from just one generation alone, the baby boomer generation, my generation. If you put a dollar value on that, that would mean that our collective intellectual capital base is worth in excess of $5 trillion. But yet, no matter where I go, wherever Black people are dispersed, we are at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in the world, including the motherland, where we control 70% of the minerals of the world, and we're still, Africans in the diaspora are still the poorest per capita. We must fix this. And you're going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. We're going to fix it by developing interpersonal and relationship building skills so that we can connect the dots and leverage more effectively our collective resources. Why is this important, Dr. Fraser? Because it is easy to break a finger. It is hard to break a fist. The strength is not in the wolf. The strength is in the pack. When we connect the dots, we can prevent interlopers from coming into our community and taking and destroying at will. We can better recycle our dollars. We have effectively managed the longest and biggest boycott of a race of people in the history of humankind. We boycott our own businesses. We do not recycle our dollars. This is on us. Now, in building the relationships that I'm talking about, there are mistakes that I see us commit unintentionally in many ways. I simply believe, as the Bible teaches us, if we knew better, we would do better. That means we have to learn not only how to love ourselves, but to love each other, stop hating on each other, and fix the mistakes simply because we have not learned the correct way to network ourselves. There's 7 mistakes. I'm going to start with number 7, and we're going to go up to number 1. I hope you have a pencil and paper, and I want you to write these mistakes down as I articulate them in the sequence beginning with number 7. This is the 7th biggest mistakes we make. In 40 years, I have passed out at least 31,000 business cards. Oh, this is what my business card looks like. 31,000 of these cards. I passed them out to people who asked for the card. This is, by the way, the back of the card. These are all of my books, awards and citations, etc., etc. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying this is what a proper card looks like. All the social media information about me, awards that I have, specific big awards that I have won, etc. I have passed out 31,000 of those cards from people who requested the card. And people used to say to me, Dr. Fraser, aren't you afraid that you're giving people all of these cards and they're going to call you, because my cell number's on the card. They're going to call you and they're going to bug the hell out of you? I said, no, I'm not afraid at all. Because here's what I've learned about Black people. 99.9999% of them will never, ever, ever follow up. Oh yeah, they get the business card. They got a business card from America's networking guru, and they still don't follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. Why do you ask for a business card and you do not follow up? Anybody that has called me or emailed me or texted me gets a return text, email, or call. One of the habits I have is I do not go to bed at night until I have followed up on every email that I have received, every call that I have received, or every text message that I have received that day. Do you follow up? Why don't people follow up? Sometimes it's just intimidation. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes perhaps they lost the information, but they did not seek to try to find it by some other means. The fortune is in the follow-up. Don't make that mistake. I cannot even begin to tell you over the last 40 years, simply because I followed up with business cards that business cards that either I asked for or someone has given me. I cannot begin to tell you the good fortune that has come into my life because I simply followed up. I followed up with either a phone call, I followed up with a text message. I followed up with an email, right? Or a handwritten note. Follow up. And the simple follow-up was just say something kind, no BS, just a true compliment. We'll talk more about that later. Follow up, follow up, follow up. If you do not intend to follow up, don't ask for the business card. Whatever way people are communicating with you, you should follow up within 24 hours. Now, most people who communicate with me know that I follow up instantly unless I'm on a plane somewhere or I'm on a Zoom call somewhere. But the moment I get a moment of time, whether I'm in the bathroom or whether, whether I'm, relaxing, I make sure that I follow up. Follow up, brothers and sisters. Write this down. The fortune is in the follow-up. That's number 7. What's number 6? Most of us, when meeting new people, make a poor first impression. We do not give people a proper introduction. If you're out networking in a social event, people are not interested in hearing your problems or the story of your life. They want enough information about you to pique their interest in you so that they can contact you at a later date. That's simply what they're interested in. You've got about 17 seconds to make that first impression. It's called an elevator pitch. It's pretty standard. You're going to have to craft an elevator pitch. Now, it fluctuates from event to event depending on where you are and what you're doing and the kind of event that it is. But there are 5 critical elements to an effective elevator pitch. Who you are, where you're from, and what you do. Those are the first 3 elements of a good first impression elevator pitch. But the last 2, 4 and 5, are the most critical. How do you add value? And if you really add value, prove it to me. Quantify it. Who you are, where you're from, what you do. How do you add value? And then if you really add value, can you quantify it? Why is adding or putting that in, adding value, so important? Because it is part of the purpose of life. And the purpose of life is very simple. Why is it simple? Because God doesn't make anything complicated, because he needs everyone to understand it. You tend to make things complicated. We tend to make things complicated. God doesn't make anything complicated. We make things complicated. One of the reasons we tend to make things complicated is so that we don't have to do it. So the more complicated we tend to make things, the more reasons we have for not doing. Let me say that differently. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Keep it simple. So let me give you my little elevator pitch. Now, it varies from time to time, but in general, this is the framework for a proper elevator pitch. Hi, I'm Dr. George Fraser from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Brooklyn, New York. I'm the CEO and founder of FraserNet Incorporated. I write books on networking and economic development and wealth creation. I help people turn acquaintances into friends and contacts into contracts. Over the last 40 years, I've helped over 5,000 people attain over $1.2 billion in new business through effective relationships. Good to meet you. That's 72 words, 18 seconds. Can you write how you add value and who you are in 72 words? Well, I think you should think about that. Make a good first impression. How you comport yourself, Are you properly attired depending on the event that you're going to? What does your face look like organically? What do I mean by that? I want you tomorrow morning when you get up, I want you to go in your bathroom and look in the mirror and look at your face in its most organic and natural state. Let me show you what my face looks like in its most natural state. There are over or nearly 40 little muscles in your face. And when you're totally relaxed and you don't have your mask on, so to speak, because Shakespeare said the whole world is a stage and we're all playing a part. What does your face look like? Now, this is important. Here's what my face looks like in its most natural state. Now, that is actually not very friendly. So if I'm out networking and I'm under no pressure and I'm just being me and I'm having a drink and my face is in the most natural state that it could be, I don't look very open, very friendly. So what have I done? I've done what thespians, actors have learned to do. I've learned to position and to move my muscles in my face so that when I'm out and about, I have an open and friendly look. No, I don't run around with a Cheshire cat smile. No. Right? But practice moving the muscles in your face so that you look friendly, you look welcoming. Right? One of the best examples of what I'm talking about is Kamala Harris. Have you watched her? Have you looked at her face? Open and friendly and engaging. She does this naturally. I've met her. This is just who she is. Now, I don't know if she's practiced it, but she has certainly mastered it. Do you look open and friendly and welcoming? This is an important part of a good first impression. The third element of a good first impression is business cards. About 10% of the brothers and sisters I meet along the way, and they're interesting, and I want to know more about them, and I ask them for a business card, don't have a business card. They're at a professional business event with no business card, Negro, please. Are you kidding me? Bring a business card. I've asked people for business cards. They try to write something down on a piece of paper. In fact, several people over the years have written their information on a piece of toilet paper to give it to me. They were so desperate to give it to me. You know what I did with that piece of toilet paper? The same thing you do with toilet paper. Have a professional looking business card, preferably with your picture on it, in today's social media world, so that when people look at your business card, they can connect your name with your face. Duh. Take business cards. Have emergency business cards. Now, that is number 6, a poor first impression. What is number 5? You don't spend enough time networking. How do I know this? Because 10 years ago, I commissioned the Gallup organization to do a national study on the networking habits of Black people versus white people. An amazing study. Now, my company was qualified to do the study because I'm sort of the networking guru and I've written best-selling books on the subject. But I knew that Black people would believe white people before they believed another Black person. So I got a white company, a renowned white company. Here's what they found about the differences between Black people networking and white people networking. White people spend 40% more time working on cultivating, nurturing, and developing relationships at work, at home, and in the community than Black people. As a result, they have over 175 well-cultivated, well-developed, well-nurtured contacts and relationships. They have more relationship capital. Now, I don't have $1 billion in cash, but I have $1 billion in relationship capital. White people have a lot of relationship capital because they spend more time working on that. We spend about 15 to 20% of our time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. Less than half the amount of time that white folks do. As a result, the average Black person has less than 40 well-developed, successful, well-cultivated, well-nurtured people in their life that they can call on for a variety of reasons of information, strategic alliances, joint ventures, and partnerships. Brothers and sisters, what I'm saying to you is spend more time networking. It is going to determine your life. You're going to have to work on 3 kinds of networks throughout your entire life. 3, through all 8 passages. First is your personal network. These are the people that know you, love you, and respect you, cheer you on, and lift you up. Let's call that your network at home. Then you're going to have to work on what I call an operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life, whether it's their place of business where you're working, whether you're a deacon in the church or doing work in the church, or whether you're on some social or civic organization, you're working in teams, you're working with other people, and you're going to have to depend on them to help you to get whatever your specific job or task is done. You're helping them and they're helping you. And these people, through each passage of your life, are platooning in and out of your life. This is your operational network. These are the people that help you to get things done. That's the second network. The third network you're going to have to work on is your strategic network. These are the people that are smarter than you. These are the people that will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are the people that are where you want to be. These are the people that can ultimately be your mentors or your coaches. These are important people. In fact, if you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are. They're not coming to you. You have to go to them. And when you meet them, you have to find a way to serve them, not to ask them. You don't meet somebody important and begin asking them for money for your business or for whatever your nonprofit is. No, you cultivate the relationship. That's what you do. You give to them. You give. That's what you do. Hopefully doing something will enable you to spend some time with them, just to touch the hem of their cloth. How can you serve powerful people? I don't know how many of you know Earl Graves. Earl Graves is an iconic business owner, unbelievable human being. He has passed. He was the founder of Black Enterprise magazine, an iconic publication back in the day. And Black Enterprise still exists today. They don't produce the magazine as they used to, but it was the magazine for Black business enterprise. I always wanted to meet Earl Graves. He grew up in Bed-Stuy as I did, but he was 10 years ahead of me. He was always sharp dresser, brilliant mind. He began as a special aide to Robert Kennedy, got into politics, and then he pivoted and opened and started Black Enterprise magazine. I always wanted to meet him. And I let some friends know that. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and so someone nearly 30 years ago said, listen, Earl Graves from Black Enterprise magazine is going to do a 7-city tour, networking tour. to teach networking. I know you are sort of an expert in that. He's looking for people to put together the event in their city, someone who has some expertise in that area. Would you like to work on that committee? I said, not only would I like to work on the committee, I'd love to chair the committee. Remember, this was 1987. They said, okay. They talked to Earl. He said, fine, George Fraser can chair it. He said, it's going to take a year's work. There's no pay. And we'll see what he does. So I worked on it for a year. I put together an incredible committee for him. We put on our event. It was the best event per capita of any of the 7 cities that he did. He rolled up in the event with the governor of Ohio at that time, Governor Dick Celeste. I had never met the governor. He introduced me to the governor. He was dressed to the nines, had a beautiful tie on. And I complimented him on the tie. He said, would you like it? And he actually gave me the tie. All right. I introduced him. There were about 800 people at the event, and he was pleased as punch. And I was pleased. And I got an attaboy. And he said, thank you very much. And that was it. I didn't bug him. That was 1987. But I kept in touch with him, but very, very discreetly. I sent him articles that I saw or read about Black Enterprise or him. I just touched base, about 2-3 times a year. How you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? And he was very gracious. Fast forward 7 years, 1994. I wrote my first book, Success Runs in Our Race, got a huge contract from HarperCollins, which was William Morrow at that time. I wrote the book, and I called Mr. Graves, and I said, could you do me a personal favor? I wrote a book on networking. I know you're a fan of networking. Success Runs in Our Race. Could you just take a look at it and see if you'll do a little blurb that I can put on the back of the book? He said, sure. I sent it to him, or I didn't send it to him. My publisher sent the galley, right? He called me back about a week later. He said, George, this is a magnificent book, extraordinarily well written. He said, it's so good that I would like to make Success Runs in Our Race our first book excerpt in the history of Black Enterprise magazine. And because I'm going to do that, I'm going to put you on the cover of the Black Enterprise magazine. Well, I cannot even begin to tell you how grateful I was. Now, remember, in 1987, I met him. I didn't even know I was going to be writing a book. I wasn't looking to get on Black Enterprise magazine. I was giving unconditionally. I just wanted to know him. 7 years later, I end up on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine. You give first, you share always. The getting comes later. You never know who you're talking to. So, work on your networks, all 3 of them, personal, operational, and strategic. That is the that is the 5th thing. So let me cover the 4th thing. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get through all 7, and maybe I'll do part 2 on Friday, because I'm coming back on Friday. So my question is, do you have a system? This is number 4. Most of us have no networking system. Oh, and by the way, those of you who are in business, let me say this to you, and I say this with love. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it ain't a business. Do you have a system? Do I have a system for networking? Yes, I've had a system for effective networking for 40 years. It is an habitualized system. I do these 5 things automatically every single day. I've been doing them every single day, 365 days a year for 40 years. These are the 5 things I do every day. Number 1, I write 5 notes a day to people in my network. How you doing? It's very easy today. Those are the minimums. I'm generally do more than that. How you doing? What's going on? You can text them. You can email them, depending on who you are. And then there are a few people that I take out my fancy letterhead and my fountain pen and I write a personal note. 5 notes a day, every single day, to somebody in your network. The second thing I do every single day is I make 5 phone calls a day to old friends and family. Now, you got to be very careful with this because those conversations can end up being very long. You got to manage it. I keep a little 3-minute egg timer on my desk, but I keep in touch with old friends and family every single day. What is the third thing I do every single day? I make 5 personal contacts every day to new friends. Yeah, I get lots of business cards and lots of emails and new people I meet, as you do, right? Every single day, I select 5 of them randomly, generally speaking, right? And I get in touch with them, either by text, by email, by phone call, or personal note. Every single day. This is the minimum. What is the fourth thing I do every single day? I make 5 sales calls every single day, but I'm not selling anything. Why? Because the last thing I want my customers to think or believe is that the only time they hear from me is when I'm trying to sell them something. Wrong. Check in on the people that provide you a living. See how they're doing. How's mom and them? How's your wife? How are the children? Is there any way that I can help you? 5 sales calls every day, but don't sell anything. We all have customers, however you classify them. And the fifth thing I do every single day, and this may be the most powerful, I make 5 introductions a day of people who need to know each other. I make 5 introductions every single day of people who need to know each other. That's very easy to do today with email introductions. Do you know what that has meant for me over the last 40 years, just introducing people to the right people? You don't want to know. It's huge. The 6th thing I do every single day, the 5 core things I already told you, but the 6th thing I do every day, and the circumstances of today demand this, that I spend at least 1 hour on social media every single day, working on my social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And every single day, 365 days a year, I try to put something up there that is helpful, that is positive, perhaps that is inspiration, so that is aspirational, or maybe even humorous. Anybody on this virtual call knows that's what I do. What are you doing? What, in fact, is your system, brothers and sisters? What is your system? Right? Now, that is number 4. All right? A networking system. What is number 3? And I'm going to stick on this for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm going to go to questions. What is number 3? You bring nothing to the table when you network with people. Let me say that differently. God will invite everyone to the table of life to eat. There will be no exceptions to that rule. But when you come to the table, if all you do is eat and you don't bring anything to the table, you will not be invited back. And it goes down quietly, brothers and sisters. 2 people are talking about a big idea. So someone brings up your name, and the other person says, no, they don't bring anything to the table. What do you bring to the table? Are you an inch wide and a mile deep in your subject matter expertise? Are you mediocre, average, or excellent at what you do, or exceptional at what you do? So the goal is to be an inch wide and a mile deep in your subject matter expertise, and then to be a mile wide and an inch deep in matters of the world so that you can talk about something other than what's on Real Housewives of Atlanta, the weather, or sports. Are you interesting? Are you engaging? Do you know a little bit about a lot of things? And are you conversational? Can you intelligently comment with eloquence and elegance about the matters of life? Are you engaged in constant, never-ending improvement, lifelong learning, and personal growth and development? Do you read? There's the old saying, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. Do you read? You see what's behind me? I'm in my office. This is not a green screen. There's 1,000 books in my office and 15,000 books in my house. I read 100 books a year. The average American only reads one book a month. I'm sorry, one book a year. The average American reads one book a year. If you read one book a month, in 5 years, you will have read 60 books. The average American will have only read 5. Are you amazing? Do you read? Can you effectively write? Can you effectively speak? Do you plan on being a leader? Well, you cannot be a leader without effectively speaking and writing, which requires intellectual curiosity, means it requires that you read. That lays the foundation for critical thinking. And it's the critical thinkers that will lead us to the promised land. That's what you can bring to the table. The question is, do you? What do you bring to the table? The second biggest mistake we make is the lack of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? What is EQ? And as you get older and wiser, you're going to find out that your EQ is going to be more important than your IQ. Your emotional intelligence is the ability to manage your 5 most important emotions, the emotions of happy, sad, angry, afraid, and ashamed, and to use the management of those emotions to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships at work, at home, and in the community. I don't care how smart you are, how high your IQ is. If you have the personality of a box of rocks, you're not going anywhere, and you're never going to lead. What is your emotional intelligence? Have you rated it? I recommend a book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0, the best book written on the subject I've written. I've read all the books on emotional intelligence, which is a new science. Pick that book up and read it 3 times and your life will change. Finally, what is the biggest mistake you make when networking? What is the number 1 mistake you make when networking? You network to get something. Wrong. You network to give. And as you give, you get. You ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. That you cannot take out of life that which you have not put into life. Just as you cannot take out of the bank that which you have not put into the bank. You don't believe me? Go down to Bank of America or your bank and try to take something out of there that you haven't given. Right? Give until it hurts. And then give until it feels good. This is biblical. And I don't give to get directly from you. Right? I give unconditionally. But I know, because God has designed the system this way, as a giver, it is impossible to fail. And I don't mean giving money. There are all kinds of ways we can give people love, inspiration, ideas, support, cheerleading, love. Are you that kind of person? If you are, it is impossible to fail. If you don't make these mistakes, I guarantee you, you will be successful. And you will end up being thebomb.com. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Questions? Can you hear me? Dr. Faye, while you're figuring that out, I'm going to make an offer to the audience. Is that okay? We have a conference every year called the Power Networking Conference. It's next year in July the 14th through the 17th in Houston, Texas. Forbes magazine named our conference one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. Every leader, every major Black speaker has spoken at our conference. Next year will be no different. I'd like to make you a special offer. This is my Eric Kelly offer because I love him. A full registration at our conference, if you go to powernetworkingconference.com, is $1,500. We sell out every year. We encourage you to bring a student because we should be meeting with our young people at the feet of masters. A student registration is $800. A student and an adult is $2,300. I want to reduce that by $1,800 and make that available for $499. One adult and one young person, 17 to 25, $499. It costs us more than that to feed you at this fantastic conference. You can only get that offer through me. You have to email me at gfraser@frasernet.com. That's gfraser, F-R-A-S as in Sam, E-R at frasernet.com. In the subject line, put "I'm in." In the body of the email, put your full name and your cell number, your full name and your cell number. I will personally call you and we will handle the business over the phone by credit card. It is good for the first 5 people only. It is a ridiculous offer. It is a $2,300 package for $499. The first 5 people, all emails are timestamped, will be able to get this offer. So that's my offer. And I'd love to see you at the conference. And thank you for your time. Dr. Faye, can I hear you now?
Can you?
I hear you now, yeah.
See, I guess it was meant for you to do your offer first, because, you know, we talked the other time about you always have something special for people in addition to this wonderful knowledge you provide. And I want to say thank you so much for what you have done with just spreading about networking and making it more than just what can I get, what can I gain, but really what can we give so that we all grow. And this is day 2 of you being with the Black Business Expo. I know on Friday you have some real treats for us as well, some practical strategies that you're going to bring to us to help us build up this generational wealth and personal value.
That's right. That's exactly right. On Monday, I sort of gave a 30,000 foot view on the meta, M-E-T-A, things that we have to do as a people to begin addressing the wealth gap between Blacks and whites in America. And thematically, I believe that economics must become the new Black power. Economics must become the new Black power. On Friday, I'll talk about the micro things that each person can do starting tomorrow, right? To begin to get into and ultimately become financially free. So there's some things that we can all do to begin moving ourselves and our families towards financial freedom. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about on Friday.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I remember interviewing you for a couple of podcasts that I have, particularly the one you came on with me. We talked about meditation on my show, the Grown Folks Talking Live, and we went through the importance of mindfulness and gratitude. That's what I'm going to be speaking about next, following this presentation that you have. Is there anything that, yeah. So awesome. I was like, that segue, would you like to share anything about what your thoughts are on just the process of mindfulness or meditation? You already talked about gratitude as we go into it so people can make that connection.
Well, meditation is extraordinarily important because it really is the base for introspection and for quiet thought. And for really necessary for creativity. It's a powerful thing. And one of the things I think our brothers and sisters need to think about deeply is who they really are, right? Who they really are. Because if our brothers and sisters understood how powerful Black people are historically, historically for thousands of years. If brothers understood that, there's no way they could put a gun to another brother's head and blow his brains out for a pair of sneakers, right? So we need to meditate on our greatness and what that requires and what God is asking us to do, and going inward and being quiet, and then listening to experts or gurus like yourself can be very, very helpful for establishing inner peace, inner love, aha moments, and the simple things that we can do to be more productive, more beautiful, more loving and caring and connected Black people. So God bless you for being an expert on that subject.
I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing the importance of the introspection. I noticed that a lot of people find that very challenging when you have to sit with yourself and really hear yourself. Like during this whole year, most of the year, when everybody's had to stay at home or stay from going somewhere, I noticed that a lot of people got more stressed because they had to actually accept and see what's happening and then make changes and take that responsibility. So I thank you so much for recognizing that. I definitely appreciate all the time that you have spent with our community and with myself and my son personally, and for recognizing me as the guru on meditation and mindfulness. And God continue to bless you, shield you, and protect everyone that you love and those around you that you impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Eric. Good to be with you one time. I'll see you on Friday.
I'm just loving to see both of y'all, a king and a queen, making it happen up there. George, you made an offer. Would you make that offer one more time before you go? Because people need to go to your conference and they need to really understand what you are sacrificing for them. Sometimes people just take it for granted when people are sacrificing for them, because anytime your conference that you're doing your conference, it is a ton of great people at that conference. It's a wealth of information at that conference. And it's almost like if I just could get there to your conference, everything else is going to work out, because the people that walks through that room are the powerful people, not only where you are, but all over the country.
Thank you, Eric. Let's remember the offer that I'm echoing here. The offer that I'm making is a $2,300 package for an adult and for a young person, 17 to 25. We sell out our conference every year. So I'm going to reduce it to $499. $499. The next time I make this offer, it'll be a little bit higher. So at $499, that's $1,800 off. Okay, they have to go through me. You can't go on our website. Now you can go on the website and see all the people, www.powernetworkingconference.com, but you can't get this offer on the website. You have to come to me, gfraser@frasernet.com. That's gfraser@frasernet.com. In the subject line, just put "I'm in." In the body of the email, put your full name and your cell number, and I will call you personally. Hell, that may be worth $499. Okay. And we'll handle our business over the phone. All right. So that's special for you. And thank you so much for all that you do for our brothers and sisters. You too, our race man.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot, George. I'm going to introduce our next person, our next beautiful queen. Thank you, George. We'll see you the next time, okay? And of course, as we get prepared to go down this, what I call this whole mind piece, we've done health, we've done wealth, and now it's time to deal with your mind. And when you begin to talk about mind for thinking, you got to talk about Dr. Akila Faye, young lady who worked very hard to get here with us today, but more importantly, she is here on the network. The Black Business Expo Network, or as I call it, BBTV, is a 24-hour network that will allow people's voices to be heard all over the world. We continue to hear about the black ecosystem, and nobody wants to step up and say, well, how do we do it? How do we make an ecosystem that's going to deal with that $1.8 trillion? And so what I decided to do is say, okay, let's look around and find an apparatus and find something that we can do it on first, because now first we got to connect with people all over the world. And then let's find some people who have a voice, who have something to say. As one of my hosts said, one of my people said, you know, Dr. Kelly, I got something to say. And I told him, if you have something to say, I want you to share it with the world. And right now, the lady that's going to share her thoughts with the world is Dr. Akila Faye. Take it away. And as I say to each and every one, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Greetings, greetings, peace and light, everybody. I am Dr. Akila Faye. Before we get started, I want to ask everyone who's watching to do me a favor. I want you to take you have your phone, or if you're on your laptop, you know you've been getting a lot of great information. Dr. George Frazier was just on. We've had some phenomenal individuals sharing information on how to build our businesses across the globe. I'm going to be speaking to you about how to focus your mind in your business, mindfulness in your business. So as we get ready, I want you to start a watch party or share. It's real easy to do. You're going to go on Facebook. You're already looking. You're going to hit that share button. When you hit share, I just want you to put in whatever you want to put. Tap into this good information. Tap into mindfulness. Tap into the Black Business Expo. And let people know what you're seeing. So I'm doing it with you just so you see how easy it really is. Then you're going to hit start, or you're going to hit send. It's going to start a watch party. You can let all your friends know what's going on. That's one of the best ways to be. Remember, Mr. Frazier said, give until it hurts, and then give until it feels good. So sharing is one way of doing that. So on today, you guys, I am really excited to talk to you about mindfulness. A lot of people wonder, well, what is mindfulness? I'm mindful all the time. I pay attention to mine. I focus on what I need to do. For those of you tapping in right now, what do you think mindfulness is? Let me see some of your thoughts. What have you heard about mindfulness, or what do you think it truly is? I'm looking at your comments now. Okay, so being able to focus, being able to meditate, being able to be quiet. A lot of people do think mindfulness and meditation are synonymous to one another. However, in my years of experience, I've been working on mindfulness now for, like 18 years, and I've been providing it in a public platform for the past 6 years, as far as part of my business, Tribe Transform and Akila Faye, LLC. So it's not just the meditation part. Think of mindfulness like a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant, think of your favorite restaurant right now. Yes, I'm coming to that. Think of your favorite restaurant, and you're going with, let's say, 3-4 friends. And you're all sitting there, you're looking at the menu, and you know the name of this restaurant. We're going to call it Tribe Transform right now. Tribe Transform Restaurant. The menu has some vegetarian options. You got some poultry options. You got some seafood options. Then you got some beef options. Now, because I personally don't eat pork, the restaurant does not have pork at this time, but it has everything else, right? And then you have all your side items. Everybody's going to eat, but everyone's going to choose a different meal. Some may go with the vegan option. Get some quinoa and some kale, some sauteed mushrooms. Somebody else is going to get some red snapper with some potatoes au gratin, Somebody else might want a lamb chop, right? But no one at that table is going to say, you're not eating, because everybody has food. Mindfulness and meditation is just like that. They're in the same faculty. They're in the same sphere. But even within them, there's variety. Just like your meat options, your entrees, there's variety. Your side items, there's variety. Mindfulness would be the entree, the overall meal, and what you're going to have as the core. The meditation is that supplement that just makes it pop. Your side items, your beverages and things. But together, you're nourishing your body, you're nourishing your mind, you're nourishing your spirit, you're nourishing your soul. So mindfulness in business is being able to understand it's not just what you think in your mind already. It's so much more to that. Being aware of where you want to be and what steps you need to get. Yes, I hear that. Being aware of your underlying thinking. Yes. Now, I love that in the participation, it's like the underline. To think about the restaurant analogy again. When you go to the restaurant, you may not know what herbs and spices they putting into the food, but you know it tastes good. You know you did not have an allergic reaction. So those would be the underlining. In the front line, you see what's on the plate. So let's digress to what we're feeding ourselves, right? Mindfulness in our business. We're going to rewind. We already know mindfulness and meditation, they work together, but they are not identical. It's number one. They're not identical. Mindfulness is a set of actions and practices that help you to have a heightened awareness, to help you to reduce your stress, to reduce the amount of anxiety you feel, and to be able to easily evaluate your surroundings and you. Meditation is a tool that you use to enhance your mindfulness. It's a tool that can be sitting in silence and doing introspections. It could be sitting in silence and observing what's around you. It could be active meditation. I like to teach people about active meditations where you're moving, and I will show you a couple of those because a lot of us are so antsy that we just need to learn how to control or manage our bodies and minds to get proper movement. So meditation is a tool that we use. Okay, mindfulness is the overall practice and activity. So that's the clarification right there, the differentiation and the similarity. Think about Tribe Transform Restaurant. So when we talk about mindfulness in your business, let's start off with what is your business? What is it? Is your business financial? Is your business brick and mortar? Is your business online? Well, see, that's your capital gains business, right? The one that you provide to everyone outside yourself in order to ensure that you can take care of yourself and your family. That's one type of business. And these are some alternative thoughts, so you might want to make sure. I like pretty journals. Make sure you got something to write in. Writing helps it stick in your mind or to type on if you're not able to write. But like I said, I prefer journals. So that's one type of business, your capital gain business. The other type of business that we typically don't think about is the business of self, the business of you, your personal responsibilities, your personal obligations, your personal duties, your personal interests and hobbies and needs, your personal well-being. That too is a business. You are a business. You have a routine. You have a time that you wake up, a time you go to sleep. You have to dress yourself, bathe yourself, feed yourself. You have a husband, a wife, a spouse, children, or someone you're caring for. You have a home that you reside in or contribute to. You have transportation needs. You yourself are a business. If you ever thought about yourself as a business, we're not talking about entrepreneurship, just you yourself, your life as a business. Why don't you put a yes in the comments? And if you haven't, be honest, just put that no. If you never sat down and said, dang, I'm a business. Not because you're an entrepreneur, not because you have a brick and mortar, not because you have something online, but because you yourself are an entity, and a business is an entity. Checking for these yes and these no's. I appreciate everybody's participation. Remember to share this information. You never know who you will bless and help. So I see a combination of yes and no's. So yeah, most of us don't. More no's than yes. Most of us haven't. But I want you to really take an inventory of that. What are the things that you have to do on a regular basis just to maintain you? It's like a personal business plan. Think of it that way, a personal business audit of you being the business. See, that's one of the major things that we have to do when we want to be mindful. When we really want to go ahead and become more aware of ourselves, we got to take time to pay attention to ourselves. You got to take time to look at yourself. You got to take time to be with yourself. Not, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to sit with me. I don't have time to relax. I don't have time to think about myself. Well, if you don't have time to think about you, then how are you doing anything in a healthy way? How are you maintaining your well-being? How are you maintaining your mind so that you are able to focus on those things you need to do? How are you balancing out your feelings, your emotions, so that you don't just spaz out on people and you are able to be vulnerable, transparent, honest, upfront about where you're at and what's going on, versus spazzing or starting to cry, getting mad, getting quiet, or overworking, building other habits to distract yourself from your thoughts and emotions. That's not helping anyone, particularly you. So the first thing that you want to do is take an inventory of just what do you have to do. For real. I ain't asking you to write down a schedule. If that's part of it, yes. But think about everything maintaining you, pertaining to you that maintains you. So we can increase your awareness. Now, when you think about that, I know you like, oh my goodness, that's a lot, especially if you have a job and a business and a family. What? And then if you're single and don't have children or a spouse, you out here dating, you might date people with children, you still have a business, you still do your volunteer work. So you still dealing with other people and environments outside of you, but you still have to be in the right place. So let me tell you a benefit right here. Breathe. That's the first thing I want you to do. Breathe. Breathe. Take a deep breath through your mouth, down into your abdomen. And exhale. Whenever you start to feel frantic, like that question about thinking about yourself, when a lot of times we don't want to think about ourselves, we don't want to look at it, we don't want to acknowledge it. Intentional breathing, that's why you see intent. We're going to talk about breath, intent, and self. Breath, intent, and self. These are the three keys. Three keys right there to being more mindful in your business, which is you. So you thought I was going to tell you about mindfulness in your company. See, you are your company. Let's think about the word company. To occupy space, to deal and interact with others. So who keeps you company more than anyone else in the world? Let's pause for a second. Who does that? Who's always with you? No matter what you're doing. Oh, you. Right. So you are your company. You are your business. So we got to take time to acknowledge your company, your business, you. Okay. The breathing. When we think about breathing, a lot of people have shallow breaths. Yes, you are a business. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you to our tech team. I'm seeing the comments coming in now on the screen. Thank you so much. You are your business. If you've heard of intentional breathing, there you go. Now, the benefits of intentional breathing, them shallow breaths I was saying on you, or you can't even, that hurts, or it gets stuck here like that, shallow breathing. If you just sit and put your hand in front of your face and just, if you know your body's doing that, shallow breathing. You should be able to hold a breath. Even if through your nose, through your mouth, you should. That means that oxygen is circulating through your body. If oxygen is circulating through your body, that means that your blood is having higher oxidation. If your blood is having higher oxidation, that means that you are in a healthier state and your immune system can do what it needs to do more effectively. Now, if you notice that you have shallow breathing, I want you to, again, think about your business, right? How often, I'm not going to advertise anybody, but how often are you drinking water? How often? Now, we'll share alkaline water. One of my friends sells this, the alkaline water that you can get. And you just get you some regular spring water and increase your water. Sometimes when you think you're hungry, your body's saying it's thirsty. It needs some fuel. Water has oxygen in it. You need to fuel your body. If you've been sitting down all day, you haven't been moving, you need to go ahead and get some motion. I mean, see, just how I did that. You just sitting there. A lot of you working at home right now. You can run in place. Move your arms. Get some stretches in. Seriously. Get some circulation going. And then try that breath again. Try it by inhaling in your mouth. You should feel it going all the way through to your abdomen. Then exhale it. It should be a little easier. Then try it through your nose. Now, over time, that's going to become more and more and more second nature. Just like them shallow breaths was second nature. That's why stress was higher. That's why it's more snappy when you process things. That's why everything is like this. Oxygen to the brain. You got to get it there. You got to be mindful of what you're putting in your body. And that oxygen, I mean, is really important. I know we say it and we hear it like, oh, yeah, but are you mindful of it? Are you intentional about ensuring that you are oxidating yourself, that you are making sure that your body circulates? Are you paying attention to your breathing patterns? Are you paying attention that when you walk a certain distance, you start to ache and get tired and you want to attribute it to you're older? No, attribute it to you are not taking care of your business. You are not maintaining your company. And it's okay. But it's not okay once you know. Once you know better, you do better. Right? That's why I love helping people, especially adults, like kids, children, they kind of get it like a lot easier. So I do work with youth with the breathing. I just want you to have time to process that. I do work with a lot of adults, though. I have adult packages with breathing and meditation and mindfulness and stress reduction activities and things. But oftentimes as adults, we want to think that because we're adults, all of a sudden we know everything. So we hear a phrase that sounds similar or something like that. It's like, oh, I already got that. I'm on an advanced level. I'm this and that. But if your body is still unhealthy, if you still having trouble breathing, if your skin is looking a little crazy, you looking pale, acne, all kind of things. A lot of this has to do with oxidation in your breathing. It's the simple things that make the biggest difference in your life. It's not big things. You know, big changes is that's just a choice. And that, of course, that's going to change. But small things. Think about how the point you're at now was a bunch of small choices made over time. Small choices over time. So now we're going to do simple things to improve it, because you can't reverse it. We can't go back in time. Not yet. Not yet that we know of. Can't go back other than in your mind. That's part of mindfulness too. We're going to talk about that next with intent, because right now we on breathe, your breath. Let's get that, right? So with the breathing and being intentional with your breathing, you are able to relax and focus in a different way. Your body, your physiology is going to change. How many of you would like to have a whole lot of energy, look more youthful? If you're already looking young, that's still great. But how would you like to feel just as young as you look? Because some of us look young and don't feel young. Or if you notice in your business that you're always scattered, or you're forgetting something, or your interactions aren't going so well, we really need to get your oxygen and your breathing intake up. See, the external business, that capital gains business, is a reflection of how you're taking care of this business. So if your capital gains business, your cookie company, your finance company, your consulting firm, your media firm, you notice that, hey, there's not a lot of people coming. Well, are you paying attention to you? Because for them to come to you, you got to give them something to come to. You're not getting feedback from folks. Well, are you giving yourself feedback? Because that's what they can't do what you don't do for you. Or maybe they are, and you are so blocked from yourself, blocked in different ways that you need to unblock those things. This intentional breathing. Intentional breathing is a form of meditation. So one meditation I'll give you with your breathing. You're going to take your hands. This is my favorite one. And it's so practical and it's so simple. And it incorporates a stretch as well. I'm going to show you. It's like a tree, right? We're not going to go as high as I normally go with people. We're just going to bring it over onto the front of our head right here. So you see how I did a little circle? Started here and just kind of went out and came here. I know you're like, really? But yes. So you're going to start here. You're going to inhale. You're going to inhale through your mouth. It's going to exhale through your nose. So it's going to look like this. So that's a 3 to 5 count hold. You're going to do it 3 times. So it's going to be an inhale. Exhale. I know some of you are doing this with me. Some do it the next 2 times as well. Inhale. Exhale. See that time I did it through my mouth? Inhale. Exhale. You'll start to feel your body and say, okay, hold up. I need to stretch my fingers. Or you might feel your back and want to move your back. You might even feel something in your ankles. So oftentimes once you start doing intentional breathing, you slow down. You'll feel your body, meaning you'll hear your body. You're listening to your body, right? And that's going to help. That's what's up, Sandra. I see you. You said that's one of your habits. Hey, Sydney, I tell you. DeAndre, yes, this does intentional breathing. Again, you guys make sure that you're interacting. Share it. So we got our breath that we're focusing on, right? And said with your breath, it goes into what our intent can be. Our intent Our intent is the core in our thoughts, right? Now, let's say your intent is to expand your current reach. Let's say right now, you just started your company, you selling t-shirts, you had a couple of friends who bought in bulk, but you want to go outside of your friends. You know, with any business, you do not want to just depend on friends and family. Imagine if Walmart only depended on friends and family. Imagine if McDonald's only depended on friends and family. Imagine if Radio One only depended on friends and family. You cannot just expect your business to grow and expand only through friends and family. So let's say the goal is to expand. So we gotta get, that's our intent, right? To expand. So that means your personal business, you as an entity, you got to expand. So once you start doing your intentional breathing, your meditations, and you need help with that, my information is right over here. My name. You can just find my name, and that's my email, that's my social media handles, that's everything. And get some more tools on your breathing and meditation methods and strategies. So you got to expand, right? You got to do what Mr. Ferdy said about networking. All today was about networking, going outside yourself, reaching from the time it started, the Black Business Expo today until now. And just in life, it's like a pond or lake or the ocean. If you throw a rock in, whether you can tell or not, everybody talks about the rings, right? There's also these little splashes of water that come up that create other rings within the big ring that one rock creates and ripples. So you got small ripples on top of larger ripples on top of other small and large ripples. That's what your intent can expand out into, but then it smooths out when your intention becomes more clear. So see, first you have that idea, boom, this is what I want. Okay, ripple, 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 sprinkles, sprinkles, sprinkles. And then it starts to mellow out, smooth out, but it never stops moving. If you ever look at the top of water, it never, ever stops moving. Your intentions may change day to day, week to week, minute to minute, depending on the situation, the people you're dealing with, just what you have. Because again, in the beginning, what we talked about auditing your business, what you need to do as a caregiver is not the same thing you need to do while you're driving your car. But you got to be intentional about what is the outcome that you want. You got to be intentional about why are you doing it. You got to be intentional about what is this bringing to you and what are you bringing to it. Where is it taking you? These are very simple questions. But see, the simplest questions are the hardest to answer because you have to be willing to be totally honest. And adults sometimes feel like we have to put on airs and we have to project this heightened level of sophistication and knowledge in order to receive help. When the truth is, you can present yourself with class and intelligence. And the most intelligent people know they need help and don't know everything. But what you do know is what you do know. Like Mr. Frazier said, I'm a guru and expert in mindfulness and meditation. And I definitely appreciate him for sharing that with you all. But I'm definitely not an expert in swimming. I cannot swim, but I love the water. Okay? Anybody want to help me with that? You know what? Come help me with this mindfulness. You can help me with some swimming. I'm not great at skating. So you got to be willing to acknowledge what you're great at and what, either you don't have an interest in it or you're just not really good at it. And you want to learn how to be better at it. Because everything that you're not great at also doesn't mean that you need to become great at it. And this is what we talk about expanding in your intent. Is your intent to be great at everything, including the things that you're not, or is your intent to have a great company and to allow support to come in? So in your personal life, what support systems do you have? What support systems are you allowing? And what support systems are you asking for? Because see, if you're asking for support in your company, your business, it'll be a lot easier to get those supports as you go out. You can't swim either. Right, but the water is so beautiful, man. It really is. And so, see, we can still enjoy things without having to be all up in it. So being mindful with your intention. Again, taking care of your business. If you want other people to support your business, let people support you. If that's hard for you, do that breathing. And see, with this right here, if you couldn't do all of that because maybe of health issues or what have you, you can still do some type of movement that helps you to count with your inhales and your exhales. And I'm saying this because a lot of times you get stressed when you got to start asking people for help. So you need to be able to just, it's okay. And tell yourself that it's okay. Then ask for the help. Or receive the help and support. Whichever way it goes. So we got your breath. You have your intent. And we've been talking about focusing on yourself. All right. I'm going to get to the questions. I see you on there. So you guys, any questions that you do have, definitely make sure you're posting them. I'm going to do questions in about 8 minutes. So yourself, right? As adults, we find it very difficult to focus on ourselves. We think that by being selfish, that we are truly telling everyone else, like, no, I no longer care about you. I don't care about you. And that is not what we're saying. When you are being selfish and focusing on you, you're taking care of you. You cannot give somebody something to drink if your cup is empty. You cannot help others when you are exhausted and have nothing to give. You can't even share ideas when your mind is so full and so cluttered. It's becoming compact like a brick and won't nothing come out. Like this cocoa butter I got is solid. You got too much in your head and it's all stuck together. It's not going to come out. It's not. And side note, this is some good cocoa butter. So be mindful of how you moisturizing too. Just put that out there for you. Take care of your body, which is the last thing I wanted to talk about is how are you taking care of your body yourself? So it's one thing to think about our minds. It's another to think about our mind, body, spirit, and soul, because it's all one. Those are all faculties within our entity, being our business, who you are. So moisturization, especially for melanated people. Remember the beginning when I said your water, making sure you oxidate yourself with water and your breathing and everything. If you notice that you are constantly having to moisturize, that is a sign of dehydration. I will share with you, I had went through dehydration, so I'm telling you what it is before you get to the point that some people do, where you have to stay hospitalized because you're so parched. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure that you're taking time to get products that work for your skin type and that you're doing it on a regular basis. When we talked about your business audit or what you need to do for you. If you know that you need to take some witch hazel, like my granddaddy was saying, go over that skin, boom, do that. It's a good way to just clean your skin and get deep into your pores on a budget. And just because you have the money to buy expensive products doesn't mean that you should all the time. Some of the best things, again, are simple and affordable. So when you think about taking care of yourself, y'all see this mirror? This mirror is not very, very, very clean, right? When you think about yourself, I want you to really sit down. I want you to spray yourself. I want you to really think. This could be representative of you being in the shower, whatever your quiet space is, to where you can sit and not have to think about a whole lot of things. And then what I want you to do, I want you to take time to focus in on this mirror, which is you. Ask yourself what you need. What do you need? However long it takes for you to clean that mirror. I want you to look back at you. Okay? Look at you. And reflect on what you need. Do you need more books? I know you just saw all these wonderful books. I have a plethora of books. Do you need... Yes. That's so true too. Your healthy system, yep. Do you need more water? You need more juice? Do you need more fruits and vegetables? These are Bosc pears. They're really good for your immune system and your skin. Fuji apples. You know, you need to start looking outside yourself and realize that the world is so much bigger than just the United States. You hear about the United States. Or if you're living in South America, or if you're living in Africa, I miss traveling over there. Or if you're living in China, Europe, wherever you're living, the islands, Australia, the world is bigger than whatever place you are in. Way bigger. There's so much more. You may know everything about the space that you are residing currently, but do you know just as much about the space you're living in? See, because you live in your body, you reside in these places here. Take the time to learn about you, what you need. Okay? Drink your water, moisturize, get your exercise in. Somebody asked about yoga. So with yoga and stretching, right? Let's see if I can have on a dress, you guys. I'm gonna set up just a little bit. So let's say that with yoga, you have all these poses. And a lot of times you want to look just like the guru does at first, you know, when they're sitting up here and, you know, both arms touching in the back and they're able to do it from both sides real easily. And they, you know, all these things, right? Now, for stretching, yoga is another form of mindfulness as well. It's another tool like meditation, right? And it also helps with your breathing and your stretching. So what I recommend is that, to answer that question, is that as opposed to saying you're just going to go ahead and start yoga and start intense, like start by doing simple things where you may just, see if y'all can see me. You're going to turn, like you'll sit on the floor, right? And if you can, sit on your feet. So you're up and you're going to sit on your feet like that, okay? Once you sit on your feet, you're going to lift your arms up and you can just breathe in like this. Now this right here, and I normally make my hands so just so I'm pointing straight, or you can put your hands like this so it's going up straight. And what you want to do is align your back, like you're going to have this arch. Let's see if you can do it straight. You're just going to feel a nice little pull. Now, if you're not able to pull your arms up high, go where you can go. So if you can only go here, then go there, because that's going to be good for you. Do that for about 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just a little simple stretch. Simple. And then lean to one side, lean to the other. And the reason I turn to the side, because I want you to see that you are sitting and not just in a chair. Okay? And then you can take that same pose. You're like, hold up, that's easy for me. And you're going to bend down. Your goal will be to be able to get your forehead to your kneecaps, okay, in that particular position, and to have your arms straight, okay? Now, if that's something, because all of us have different knees, where you can just sit up straight in your chair like this, make sure that you have some type of support behind your back, whether it's the back, the cushion of the chair, which you typically want to be straight. But let's say you got like a little spinal issue, I know a lot of us do. And then what you might do is just do some things like, we're going to pretend these are my legs. You're going to lift one leg, When you lift that leg, reach as far as you can, just hold it. And breathe in when you reach. Breathe out when you release. So you're breathing in, so your body's getting the extra oxygen in it, right? And you stretch, stretch, stretch. Hold it for as long as you can then. Okay, you can breathe in your mouth, out your mouth, in your nose, out your nose, as long as you're breathing. Yes. And especially since a lot of us are having to stay inside so much, these exercises are really important. With the depressions that are going on, a lot of that is due to a lack of positive endorphins in the mind, serotonin levels, just pretty much it's going to be automatic that you're going to get a little down because you're not as active, you're not able to go out as much, you're restricted. So the chemicals in your body are changing. Okay. And the exercises I'm showing you, particularly when I say keep your back straight, right? Or as straight as you can. Again, going back to the very beginning of mindfulness, oxidation, oxygen in your blood, oxygen in your body, oxygen flowing to your mind. How can stuff flow if you all tight? Like, think about it. Like, look at me like this. Like, do you really think if I'm breathing? See, I can't even, because the body, one, is in a ball. You're in a ball. What you gonna do in a ball? How you gonna breathe your neck down? And you look at that. Even if you the best breather ever, right? But if you having your head up, you open up this pipe way, right? You got your back straight, your shoulders, and your exercises. Again, I'm saying stretching because you got to get the energy to want to get real height. Okay? If you don't have the energy to run in place at home, you don't have the energy to get some jumping jacks in. If your body is so tense, you don't have the flexibility, which is why I'm saying the stretches. Okay? If you don't have the energy and the flexibility in your body, it's going to be very difficult to do more intense exercises. However, in mindfulness, you accept where you are. Accept where you are. Don't try to be like somebody else. Accept you. Accept you. ACCEPT. Accept you. Make sure you focus on your breath. You focus on your intent. You focus on you. If you only got one good arm, work that arm and use the other arm to massage the one that's not so good, or get someone to come and do that for you, right? If you are in even I do charades a lot, you guys, a wheelchair, but if you can move your arms, then work that. And then just tap your legs. Tapping is really important. Make sure you tapping. I'm giving y'all a lot of jewels right now. Now, you may not know the science behind it, but even if you just mimic it and you don't get it, like, I'm technical, so I know the meridians of the body. I understand the nerve endings, things like that, the different faculties and how it flows. But if you just sit there, you just tap, you just start listening to your body and do what I said with increase your oxidation, being intentional with your breathing, being intentional with your thoughts, your emotions, and focus on you, and you just tap. Oh my goodness. You will know. Like, it's amazing how, again, going back, the simple things, it's the simple things that make a big difference. You guys, I am Dr. Akilah Faye. I could talk about this topic and go more in depth, but I do personal one-on-one sessions. I do have personal one-on-one sessions. Typically for a month long of working with me. And you get approximately 6 sessions along with an assessment. We go through an assessment process. We do an evaluation process. Determine where you're at. We do some inventories to get you focused on actually how to get your business where you want it to be, meaning the business of you. Cool. The business of you. That rate is typically about $600 a month. Because we're on the Black Business Network, right now I will give a special offer, and you can do 1 month trial for $300. But I need you to email me.
Now that is low. That is really low. That is really low, Killer. Killer, we'll put that up for you, okay? We'll put that across the screen for you. And for those of you who heard the offer, you know, one of the things about Black businesses and the way that we want you to understand it is that you have to support your own. And that's the most important piece. Whether she's selling soaps or water or tea, it doesn't really matter. There's $1.8 trillion in our community. And we need to begin to use that money to help the families of people who are out here doing business. And again, Dr. Killer Faye, we want to thank you for the things that you've been doing behind the scenes and in front of the camera. You know, a lot of people look at you right now would not know that you've gone through some struggles. But those struggles are a part of one thing that I call life. And as we go through life, we have to begin to be committed to what we do. And you are a person committed to your business, to your son, to your family. And I just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you. And Eric, I appreciate you saying that. You guys, you wouldn't believe when I talk about oxidation, I'll share it, and the importance of your health. I do Reiki. So I had a hernia from stress about 2 days ago. I had to go to the hospital. Pushed it back in myself. Did some Reiki. Went to the hospital to make sure that everything was good because there's some residual pain. And I will tell you all, healing sometimes hurts more than the situation. So the hernia is good. They did all the stuff, everything's fine. The Reiki work, I'm still doing the Reiki work, but I made a commitment to be here. And I know that no matter what, I know how to still be me. I'm still a happy person. I'm still energetic. I'm still healthy. It was just a small little setback. It could have been serious. But I give thanks to the Creator for giving me the skill sets and knowledge that I have to not just be able to help others and live a better life and take care of their business, but to also do it for myself and my family. So I appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate you too. We're going to move on. Like I said, I'll see you on the other side. And, you know, one of these days, I'm going to have somebody else sitting in this seat that will introduce people, bring them up, allow me to continue to do the great work that I do. Yeah, you can scratch your head or whatever you need to scratch. I'm going to call you sooner or later because you know you make it happen. Yes, indeed. And as we look at the time, the next one up, you know, this morning we had I call them the Divine Five. And the Divine Five was 5 young ladies who really, really got into it today to talk about business. And we're going to do that again today as we continue to do what we do. And right now, I'd like to bring up Dolores Williams again. Hello, Dolores. How you doing?
I am.
Welcome back. I'm not going to hold you. I introduced you earlier. Of course, for those who do not know, this is the Dolores Williams. You know, I have to say the Dolores Williams. And she'll give you more information about herself, her company, and we look forward to seeing you a little bit later. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Great day, everyone. Great day. This is Dolores Williams with Divine Connections Magazine. I am so excited for this opportunity to share with you what I do, and I will have a guest come on soon. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. The magazine is called Divine Connections Magazine. It comes out on a quarterly basis. I advertise and promote different businesses, entrepreneurs, pastors, mom team, praise dancers, anything or anybody doing something positive in the community, businesses, profit and nonprofit organizations. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and there are a lot of great things going on in the world. And we use my platform as well as this platform to share and spread the good news. All right, so you can check out my website at divineconnectionsmagazine.com. And you could actually subscribe to keep everything updated with what's going on with Divine Connections. You can also find us on YouTube, and you can subscribe now to keep updated with what's going on. And you can subscribe at youtube.com, The Divine Connections. And that's my YouTube channel. If you would like to be interviewed, I do interviews on Wednesdays, just like a 20-minute segment of who you are, what you do, contact information, and how you can be a blessing to someone else or actually share encouragement. And I do that on Wednesday. So if you're interested in being interviewed, a brief interview, just so we can see who you are and what you do, you never know what service or solution may help someone else. And also, my magazine is also in print as well as online. So you can go to divineconnectionsmagazine.com/subscription. And so I'm grateful for this. I started my business back in 2007, and it has grown from there. So I get to meet great, great, great people in the community, business owners, pastors. It is so many great people doing great things out there. Also, I'm on Instagram at Divine Connection. So make sure you guys go and connect with me, and make sure you share this information with what's going on with the Black Business USA Expo. It is awesome. So make sure you share. This is going to be going on for 7 days, and he has phenomenal, phenomenal information to share with us. And there's so many great. We had an awesome opportunity this morning to share information with 5 ladies of being a young, beautiful Black woman, an entrepreneur, and a business owner. And so we're just so excited about this opportunity. So I do a couple of things. Right now, I will tell you, I'm doing a nomination that's out. I started last year because I was actually nominated for some awards myself as Magazine of the Year, Gospel Choice Magazine of the Year. And it just excited me just to connect with more people, just to be nominated and to win. And so I was so excited with that. And so I took that seed and basically turned into a seed with Divine Connection. So we started our first nomination last year. And so I had 30 different categories in which people can nominate. So it's actually on my website right now. We just started November 1st, and it's going to go all the way to December 20th. So you can nominate yourself, you can nominate your business, you can nominate your youth, that's an entrepreneur, if you're a vendor, if you're a pastor, if you are a quartet gospel artist. I love working with gospel artists. As if you see on my YouTube channel, I do a lot of interviews with YouTube with gospel artists as well, whether it's solo, duet, acapella, quartet. I love gospel music. I grew up on that. And so basically, I took that as well as my business and put it all together. And then once a year, I do an annual event for Divine Connections Expo and award show. And I celebrate those nominees, as well as we have vendors that we network with and praise dance moms and gospel groups as well. And so my guest is arrived. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about Divine Connection. Make sure you are sharing this, liking this, and help getting the word out there. And so this is a little bit of what I do on Wednesdays. If you go on my channel, Dolores Williams, or Delo Williams, it is, or Divine Connections Marketing. Make sure you like that as well. You will see on Wednesdays from probably about 3 to 7, I do interviews with individuals as well. And so I'm just going to give you a little taste of that. And so today we have Miss Maxine, and we're good friends. And so I wanted her to come on and talk about a subject dealing with diabetes. There's a lot of individuals who have this. Sometimes we don't eat the healthiest and things go on with our body, but she's here to let you know that she had diabetes, but diabetes doesn't have her. So welcome, Miss Maxine. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I see that
Awesome.
you are as well.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, absolutely. So, just for those who don't know, you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do as far as being a diabetes coach.
Well, I'm Maxine Pearl Phillips McCoy, and I am known as the Our Diabetes Coach. And that's
Woo.
because after being diagnosed in 2008, I was a caretaker of my late husband for 7 years. And people have the myth that diabetes is always about overeating. But my diabetes was it was an onset type 2, and that was because of stress related. And
Mm.
here I am on one sofa sick, my husband on the other sofa sick, and I'm supposed to be the caretaker.
Oh,
But
wow.
I knew the symptoms. And so, extra thirst and going to the bathroom quite often, can never get enough to drink. And I thought, wait a minute, something is not looking right. So I decided to take myself to the doctor. And sure enough, that was the prognosis or the diagnosis, what you are type 2. And so I became an advocate for diabetes. And I really didn't, I guess, say dive into it deeply until
Mhm.
my husband died in 2010 due to strictly complications from diabetes, which is
Mhm.
called ketoacidosis. So that's a side of me from the health perspective. The
Yeah.
other side of me from the professional perspective is that I am a life and career coach. I do career and performance coaching for middle level women
Mhm.
and those who are probably newly promoted. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. But yes, that all this stuff is near and dear when you're a coach. It doesn't matter if it's a health coach, life coach, career coach. You want to make sure that people get the necessary information that they need.
Awesome. What are some of the symptoms a person might have if they have diabetes? Maybe they don't know they have it, but they're having some symptoms.
One of them is that extra thirst that I was telling you about. It's like you can never get enough to drink. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was drink every time I turned around, I was going to get something to drink, but I was drinking the wrong thing. I was drinking sweet tea. And sweet tea was only making it worse. So you
Right.
want to drink water if you're going to drink anything. But that's a clue, is that you cannot get enough to drink. And then you're overexcited all the time. You get agitated very easily. And you're constantly in the bathroom. You're constantly urinating. And that's because the body is trying to get rid of all of that sugar that's in the bloodstream. And that's
Mhm.
his way of trying to get it out, because if you're not careful, your organs will start literally shutting down. And I was at the point that my organs were about ready to shut down because my A1C, if anybody knows what an A1C is, it was
Mhm.
a 16.0 when I went to the doctor.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's like, you about ready to go into what, a diabetic comatose, because it's too high. And
Right.
to think of it like this, when the blood sugars are that high, 300, 400, 500, think of it like syrup, like molasses, and how thick molasses actually is.
Yeah.
That's the consistency of your blood at that given time. And just think about it going to the heart, through your lungs, through your liver,
Right.
your kidneys. So your organs can start shutting down when it's that high.
Awesome. I saw a video of you doing a couple of exercises
Yes.
that you were trying to share with everyone because not only do you need to eat better and drink better, you have to get your body moving as well. You want to
Oh,
elaborate on that a little bit?
yeah, and the moving is the fact that I am not one who loves to exercise, and there are a lot of us out there like that. But what
Mhm.
I learned was the fact that you don't have to do it all at one time. You can do 10 minutes here, you can do 10 minutes there, you can do 10 minutes 3 times a day, and you still have 30 minutes in. And if you don't want to get on the floor to exercise, then what, you can run in place. I started out as doing the Wii. Remember the Wii? When you do
Yeah.
all the exercises on the Wii. So that's how I started doing my exercises, was actually doing the Wii. And the Wii is what got me into moving. And I love to dance. So put that music on and start dancing. Well, there's your religious music or your other music that you like, and then when you're doing housework, kick those legs.
That's right.
Move, and you can actually exercise sitting in a chair. You can raise your arms and exercise. You can
Yeah.
have them out. You don't need weights Tighten the fists up. And when you tighten the fists up, you put extra weight into your own body and then move them. You know, act like you're punching. So there's so many different things that you can just do just sitting down and moving. And that's what the body needs.
Absolutely. Okay, tell us a little bit about, I think you said the A1C level. What
Yeah.
is the average or the normal, I guess I would say, A1C level? I know I just went to the doctor and got my physical done, and they said it was good, so I was excited about that. But just for someone listening, what you know what the average or the normal A1C level is?
Yes, and that's exactly what an A1C is. Is the blood what is the blood sugar levels? They call it glucose levels in your blood in a 2 to 3 month period. And your fasting, you want it to be no more than about 100. You know, and if it's you don't want it to be too low, because if you get too low, you get too shaky, you start breaking out in a cold sweat, and you can actually go into a diabetic coma if it's too low. But
Wow.
then after you eat, it can be anywhere between 120 to 180. And so what I tell individuals to do is after you have a meal, take your blood sugar readings at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours after you have eaten. Then that way you're going to see the impact on whatever it was that you ate. How is the blood actually being impacted by the food that you ate? And then at bedtime, you don't want it to be any lower than 120 because you don't want it to drop, because at night, between the hours of 1 and 3, the blood sugar drop to its lowest. And so
Wow.
you want to be careful. So anytime 90 and below, you could get into a little danger zone. So you want to be careful about that.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have any workshops or information where you can give individuals information? Did you have some workshops coming up?
I did have a workshop. I don't have any scheduled yet, but if I get takers, then I can create. It's already created. It's just a matter of me putting it out there for you to register, and it's called "I Have Diabetes, but Diabetes Does Not Have Me." And it's important that you own that. You know,
Yeah.
it's a mindset, and that's what we talk about. We talk about lifestyle changes that's natural for you. Things that you can do in the comforts of your own home, using the foods that you normally eat. And I just help you to modify how you're going to prepare foods. Because after all, if you go on a diet and you come off of that diet, we're right back in trouble. And I
Right.
always say, let's not go on a diet. Let's just know our bodies better than our doctors.
Right. So how long has your journey been? How long have you been, I guess, working on reversing diabetes?
Since 2008. And I also am an ambassador or a live power ambassador for the American Diabetes Association. And we ended up having a team because of my husband dying from it. So we had a team for almost 7 years. And we were known as Team Greg Phillips. And we were one of the largest teams that walked here in Raleigh, North Carolina, with 62 walkers every year. So we raised over $35,000 just for the American Diabetes. So you have to rally together, and it's important that you have a support group. And that's what I do. I come along and serve as an accountability partner for you. And, you know, we can take it in. I usually do 6 months to 1 year because it takes time. You didn't get like this overnight. So it's going to take time to reverse it.
Awesome, awesome. Any other nuggets you want to share about it?
I would say that there's medications that they're going to give you whenever they diagnose you as a diabetic. Usually it's metformin or some of the other medications, but do your research. And there's been a recall on the metformin. The whole thing of it is if you make those lifestyle changes and you do one at a time, don't try to do too many, too fast, too furious. Just do one at a time. Let it take hold, get used to it, and then make the next lifestyle change. When you do that, type 2 can be reversed. Type 1 is insulin dependent. And then if you're expecting, we have gestational, and then there's such a thing as pre-diabetes. And pre-diabetes, we can keep you from going into that full-blown becoming a diabetic. But it's all about lifestyle changes, and don't go on a diet. Let's work with you because you know you don't want to do a diet. You want to have a lifestyle change so you can have that quality of life.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we're gonna take a little break. So this is what I do basically, y'all, with Divine Connections magazine, and on Wednesday when I have my interviews and share a little bit about individuals and what they're going through and resources and knowledge. And so if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a speaker or a presenter with the Black Business Expo and you would like to be on my platform, please inbox me or email me, the Divine Connections magazine at gmail.com. And I will show you, I will send you some information about how we can connect and be a part. And then also she has been featured in Divine Connections magazine. So the magazine comes out quarterly, and it's just different articles and information about what's going on in the community, who's doing what, resources and connections. So I'm going to see if I can actually play a little bit of a video so you can see that as well. And we want to thank Miss Maxine Phillips for coming on. So just hold on, and we're going to see if we can play a video. And then I should have a second guest in maybe about 10 minutes as well. And also I will show you the categories. Right now, Divine Connections nomination is going on. So if you want to nominate your group, your business, your vendor, your pastor, you can do that. And then we actually acknowledge people at the annual event. And we just say thank you for making it happen and doing great things in the community. So right now, I'm going to see if I can share just a little bit of a video with you. It's just 30 seconds. And go from there. Hold on, Miss Maxine.
Gotcha.
Divine Connections magazine. Get major exposure for your business. Is someone looking for your service? Do you need networking? Are you a gospel artist or a ministry? Do you have a major event that you want to promote? Divine Connections magazine has the solution for you. We can distribute to residents, businesses, churches, and online. Don't miss this opportunity to expand your marketing locally and around the world. Find out more about us at divineconnectionsmagazine.com. Get your spot in the next issue of Divine Connections magazine by emailing us for details at divineconnectionsmagazine@gmail.com.
Make sure to like us on Facebook at Divine Connections Marketing. Follow us on Instagram at Divine Connections.
Let's get it started now. Divine Connection.
Awesome, awesome. I just wanted to show that right quick so you can see a little bit about what I do. And so if you're interested in advertising in the magazine, like I know people would love to know about diabetes and little points or nuggets or what they can do personally at home or natural remedies that will help them with diabetes. And so that information is in there. So anything else you want to share, Miss Maxine?
Just take it one step at a time. Don't overdo it. Always check with your doctor before you make any changes to your regimen, and have them to work with you.
Right.
Because what I had to do with my doctors, I just went to them and say, hey, listen, these are my goals. This is my strategy. I need you to work with me. And that's how it started happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so we're going to hold on to you until my other guest comes in. And so we're just going to be going back and forth. I'll talk a little bit about, I was telling you about the Divine Connections nomination. So just like Miss Maxine is a business and she's a coach, she can nominate herself in the Divine Connections nomination. So let's see if we can bring that up so you can actually see. Oh, let's see. The picture. Okay, there we are. All right, so as you can see, let me see if I can make it bigger, I'm not sure. But here are the categories. The nomination is opened up November the 1st to December 20th. And what I need from you is the nominee's full name, their business and ministry name, their email, and their phone number. And then you can put your name and email and phone number on there as well, saying that you're the nominator. And so you can do that at my website at divineconnectionsmagazine.com/events. So here are some of the categories. a cappella groups, author and books. If you are author, you know, you can put the name of your book down. Award show, if you're doing award shows, if you are doing, if you have a choir, contemporary gospel groups, female quartet groups, food vendors, gospel comedian, gospel film or playwriter, gospel promoter, gospel rapper, health, healthy lifestyle vendor, just kind of like what she's doing today. Male quartet group, the Mom Ministries. If you have a nonprofit organization, if you have a pastor you want to share and nominate him or her, praise dance ministry, radio promoter, soloist. If you have a sweet vendor, we want to know what kind of food you have. We love sweets. TV promoter. If you are a vendor that does not include food or drink. If you have a youth entrepreneur, if you are a youth entrepreneur or a youth service, youth ministry or a tutoring program, we know that virtual learning is going on right now. And some of these kids definitely need some tutoring because sometimes the parents are not ready or willing and equipped to do that. And then once the nomination is done, you'll be able to vote for these nominees. And then additional to that, I have Best Mom Ever. You can send in a letter about your mom and why she's the best mom ever. Best dad ever. Why is your dad the best dad ever? I know my dad's the best dad ever. I love him. Family activities, great places to go. What are some trips that you've been on that you've enjoyed that, you know, you may want to share with somebody and know that, you know, or share it with everybody else and let them know where to go. You know, it can be something small, it can be something big. And so we do a lot of things with Divine Connections. And not only that, we do 30-second and 60-second commercials, like the commercial that just played just a little bit about Divine Connections and how to stay connected on our social media. We do that as well. And so we do exciting things. If you need business cards, if you need flyers, we do that as well. So my information is on the side. If you need information about diabetes, her information is on the link as well. All right, and so let me play one more. I'm waiting on another guest to come in. But while we're waiting, let's see if I can play this other video, okay? Hold for a second, it's like a 30-second video.
Services. Now you can create your own custom video commercial for your business or organization. It's time for you to win. Your product or service is someone's solution, so get the attention of your potential customers now. Choose from a 30 or 60-second commercial today. Just email us at divineconnectionsmagazine@gmail.com and we can get started. Connect today and let's get started making your custom video commercial now. Hey,
Awesome. All right, so that's a lot of information about me. I just love connecting with. So is there anything else you want to talk about, Jeff? We can change the subject a little bit if you want to. Just being, I know that you're a wife and you do multiple things. You're an entrepreneur and do a couple of things with that. So how do you balance? How do you balance life, trying to take care of, you know, business as well as yourself, as well as, you know, having a husband? Share a little insight about that.
Well, one of the things that I help my clients to understand is that you do have to have a work-life balance. Now, there are times, and it might be a month long, where you've got a project that you're trying to push out, and you might not have a whole lot of work-life balance going on then. But for the majority of the time, you do need to have a work-life balance. And one of the things that I suggest is to take that smartphone out.
Yeah.
Smartphone. So take the smartphone out, because on the smartphone, there are a couple things. There's a voice recorder on there that you can send yourself reminders of things that you might end up forgetting to do and you want to remember.
Okay.
And then two, there's a calendar on here. And this calendar, you put everything on that calendar and you schedule it. And one of the things that I suggest that you schedule is called ME, me time.
That is right.
And that me time can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It can be once a week, every other week or something like that. But you need the me time in order to refocus, to recenter, to re-energize, to rejuvenate, to reflect. And the other thing I talk about is journaling. I have a journal out here called Transformation, Write, Share, Live. But it's not about me transforming, it's about your transformation.
Right.
As you're going through life, you're going to go through transformations because we evolve all the time.
All the time.
And write about it, because as you're writing about it, or record it on the telephone, that could be a book, it could be poetry, it could be a song, it could be things that your children have done, it could be a trip that you've taken, it could
That's
be
right.
memories and things like that. So there's so many things that you can do when you journal. And it can be stress reductions. It can relieve you from some of the stress that you're going through.
Absolutely. I know I kind of stop and start every now and then with journaling. And I'm like, if I would have just been consistent with journaling and keeping everything, just kind of look back to see where you've come from, see how far you've come, see
Yes.
what you worked on and what you need to work on. That's just phenomenal. So I need to do better with that. I do.
But with journaling, there's no right or wrong way. And so
Right.
on my website, if you go to www.gamsunlimited.com, I have an ebook out there for you. And that ebook talks about when to journal, how to journal, the way to journal, why to journal. And because there's no right or wrong way, it's your way. So don't let anybody tell you that there is a way to journal. It's your way. Because if you don't do it your way, you're not going to do it.
That is right. That is right. And I know for myself this year, and I'm used to writing things down in a notebook, and I have notebooks all over the place and papers all over the place.
Right.
But what I have done, like you said, is use the calendar on my phone. And that's the way I remember a lot of stuff. It sends me a reminder. I can go back and look and see what I've done for the day or what I need to do for the next day or the next week. So, we have these tools right in our hand and we use our phones for everything just about.
Right.
So that definitely is an option to do, using that calendar and staying abreast of everything as well.
And you might have some individuals say, no, but I want to write it in a book. I want to write it on a calendar on the wall. Well, you can print the calendar out of your telephone and that way you have a paper copy of it. So it's not like you're giving it up.
Right. I didn't even think about that. That's good. Because I know sometimes, during this time, especially towards the end of the year, the dollar store, you can go there. They have the small calendars or the yearly calendars as well. So let's talk about a little bit about the scholarships as well. I know that you're over the scholarships with the Black Business Expo. So tell us a little bit about that and maybe how somebody can apply for the scholarship.
Well, the scholarships is the why as to the why the Black Business Expo exists.
Right.
There's so many young people that need scholarships. They're coming from single family homes and they have these entrepreneur ideas that they want to do, but they don't know how to get started. They don't maybe have the funds or the resources to get started. So we have 10 scholarships that we're looking at giving away, and they're a computer up to $5,000.
Wow.
We need your help.
Right.
So we need everybody to pitch in and start becoming a part of the scholarship foundation. No amount is too small. In order to grant these scholarships, we have to have MONEY. So we need people to donate. And
Right.
you donate by going to the Black Business Expo, USA.1, or you can contact Dr. Eric Kelly. And so he will be able to, take the credit card or the debit card or whatever cash advancement you want to use. We'll be able to take it that way. We also need committee members. So we need committee members who are committed and want to help us to make sure that we're out in the public, that we're out there talking to organizations, that we're getting connections with the right people, the influencers, the one who can make the decisions to become a part of the scholarship foundation. So There's room for everybody. There's a place that we can take you and help you to become a part of the Scholarship Foundation. So don't think we don't need your services, because we do. And we also need donations as well.
Awesome, awesome. That is phenomenal. Yes, please contribute and donate to what's going on with the Black Business Expo. I think I met Dr. Eric, 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And I actually physically went to the expo last year, of course, and I was able to see everybody. And this year, he decided to do a 7-day virtual, which I love anyway, because I do it like on Wednesdays. And so I think it's the best thing. And then I actually get to sit down and take time and hear everybody, because sometimes when you move around, you can get little nuggets. But this is allowing all of us to connect with other people, see what other resources are out there, and see, what mentor or what connections you need to make it happen, to make you greater, to make, more marketing, to get more information out there. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. And so, Maxine, thank you so much for being on as my special guest. Again, if you want to be one of my guests on Divine Connections platform, email me, inbox me, have Facebook, Divine Connect, Dolores Williams, which is Delo Williams, as it says, or you can go to my Divine Connections marketing as well. All right, so make sure you stay connected, because we want to hear what you have going on. Also with Divine Connections, we have a special going on for the yearly. You can hear about Divine Connections yearly. You can get the publication with one special price. Usually it's $144 for the year, but for right now it's $96, and that means you stay connected and be a VIP subscriber for Divine Connections all year long. So we are so excited about that. So if you would like to be a subscriber and stay connected with Divine Connections, and you get the 4 publications, you get the newsletters, you get 2 custom items from Divine Connections, and you get highlighted in one of the newsletters in Divine Connections, because we want to hear about what you do as well, and we appreciate your support. So thank you again, Miss Maxine, for being on with my friend, and thank you for doing what you do in the community.
And same to you. We'll talk later. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Yes, thanks. Bye. Well, wonderful, wonderful. We have our second guest that is here. How are you, Mr. Norman?
I am excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad you're here. This is the Black Business Expo. So I'm doing it on a different platform that we've done before. So I want to share with individuals who you are and what you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Norman Cameron, otherwise known as Brother Norman, and I am an ordained pastor. But in the past, I ran a real estate business, along with other things that I've done. But presently, I'm doing a marketing company called King's Kid Clothing, or rather King's Kid Designer Label Clothing, and that is to reach out to as many Christians as possible to utilize designer labels on their clothing rather than the regular labels that are out there that doesn't denote who they are. Right. So presently, I am operating in the office of the evangelist, and so anything and everything that I do presently is geared towards evangelism, reaching out to those that are lost, who has not heard about the good news of Jesus Christ, or maybe just sitting on the fence.
Awesome, yes. Awesome. So we know that you are an evangelist as well as a business owner. So you've done some real estate. And what year did you get started in real estate?
I got started in real estate back in 1985, and it wasn't a business when I started. I started out of mere necessity. I was about to get married, and I desired to as a young couple, I decided that I would like to move into a house rather than having an apartment or renting a house. I desired to have home ownership. And of course, this is one of the things that most people that are from a foreign country desires to do, to become part of what is known as the American dream. And part of the American dream is home ownership. And so I was fairly young. I was about 21 years old. And so I went out on that excursion to find out. The problem was, at that time, I was still in college, and I didn't have two nickels to rub together. And so because of that, it was difficult. Now, let me take a sideline for a little bit and say this. Anything and everything that I'm about to share, it's being shared knowing that it is God who gave me the strength to do everything. I don't believe in what is known as a self-made millionaire or a self-made anything. God has made us, and he's the one that gave us the strength to do anything and everything that we're able to do in our bodies. So I give the Lord Jesus Christ the glory. I give God the glory in anything and everything I'm about to share. So it is known that I am not sharing anything for the purpose of bragging, but to exalt the God that I love. Right. So anyways, so I bought the first house back in 1985, around June of 1985, and it was a single family house. It was the worst house on the block because it's the only thing I could afford. As a matter of fact, I borrowed, actually, $3,500 was actually given to me as a gift from my mom to make this whole thing happen. But the truth of the matter is that because I didn't know much about buying or acquiring a piece of property, I had to go to infomercial. And so I spent a lot of time in the morning, in the early mornings, 3 a.m. That's when they mostly come on. And I learned how to buy real estate, no money down. And that was right up my alley. Yeah. Money down. And that's how I acquired the first house. As I said, it was a dump, but I knew that I was able to do something with it. At least, my father was a carpenter and a mason. Something had to come down in the blood, right? So that's my thought. And so that's what I did. I bought this rundown house. The first winter was brutal because no matter how you turn up the heat, everything was still cold. And in the spring, I decided I'm going to insulate. And when I took apart the wall, I realized that they had panels, but they didn't have any insulation. So I had to start doing the work of gutting the entire place. And within 3 years, I made it into a palace. Two things happened at that point. I learned how to utilize gifts I never thought I had. Right. Carpentry and masonry, right? And I learned how to sheetrock and do some of the things on my own. And I thought, well, wait a second. After it's all done and it became the best house on the block, literally. People were coming to me and asking me if I could help them out in their house. So I started doing it for free, okay? And I became good at it. And then I thought about it, well, if I have one house, why can't I have two? Right. And that's where it continued and started to spiral. Throughout I made it into a full-fledged business at one time. It was under NCC Real Estate Development, North Central Connecticut Real Estate Development. And then I merged or transformed that business into one under one umbrella under Kingdom Enterprises, where I would acquire, my wife and I would acquire properties or acquire land and then build or buy. I buy the worst properties in the neighborhood because that's where, you get your best learning from. I was not much of a buy and flip. Back then, I was more of a buy and hold. And so that's how I started in the business.
Awesome. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons. So go elaborate a little bit on the good things that you learned and things you learned that weren't so good. Or well, they were still good, but you know, the pros and cons.
I'm going to tell you first the cons, because I believe that, especially in real estate, one of the greatest mistakes that I made as a young person and a person who was not being guided by a knowledgeable person physically holding your hand and bringing you through the ropes, is that in any venture that one embarks on, any venture, they must know what the laws, the state laws and federal laws governing that business or governing that venture. One of the things that I found as one of the greatest cons in my entering the business of real estate is that there are specific laws that governs, acquiring properties, holding properties, tenant laws, which I had no idea about. You should know the laws concerning taxes, capital gain, and after fixing the property, having all of your receipts together. So because when you sell it, you're going to have to give an account to the Internal Revenue Services, or they will tell you what you did when it doesn't happen that way. So you have to make sure you have a record keeping that is pristine.
Right.
It is not just buying the property and saying that, well, I own this one or I own that one, because that in itself is a farce. Okay, meaning simply that ownership of real estate is, especially here in Connecticut, I don't know about any other states, but here in Connecticut, you're going to pay the piper once you sell that property. And when you rent, you're going to pay the piper, because in Connecticut, the tenant laws are gets first right. The tenants has great rights here in Connecticut, which means that when you renovate a property and everything is nice and pristine, and then 3 months down the road, it's trashed again, you may not be able to terminate the tenancy because of the tenant rights that are here in Connecticut. So you have to know how to maneuver in the business arena that you entered in. And so many of the things that I found in my young real estate business was learning as I go, and that can be costly. One of the other detrimental thing to learn in real estate is, all right, so now that you bought an old rundown property, you're going to do the renovations on it. Now what, right? It's no longer just a single family like I first bought. I'm buying multifamilies, 3 families, such like. So now each one of those multifamilies, each apartment is considered a resident, a house. So you have to budget for the entire thing, so that at the end of the renovation, you have not overstepped your profitability, right? Or else you'll find that you have put too much money in the place, and when it's all said and done, it won't appraise. That means now you're left to hold it until the time comes when it appreciates. Not a good idea, right? So during the times when I started out, I was more twinkle eye on just ownership. I just desired to have a whole bunch of them, right? And my goal was, by having a whole bunch of them, excess rent, or after paying the mortgage on an investment property and there's money left over, I turn it towards paying my mortgage for where I'm living. So I was buying the properties for 2 reasons. One, as a tax shelter, because I was working in a very lucrative job. I was not, when I started in the business, I was also an engineer at a very reputable company. And I was making quite a bit of money there, but I was being hurt tax-wise. And I was told that real estate is the best tax shelter. And it was, but you have to know how to approach it. You have to do your homework. Again, so that was one of the cons of not acknowledging the laws that governs. So after I start to learn that it's necessary, that I'm not able to do my taxes myself, now I have to go and get the professionals. I have to make sure I had an accountant and an attorney on payroll, because now I'm looking to focus my attention on acquiring properties. So the costs can add up insurmountable if you don't know how to proceed. Over time, you will learn, and I sure did learn. But those are some of the pros and cons, right? So that's some of the cons. Now, certainly the pros, I can tell you, after learning some of this stuff, the pros are always just exuberant. Number one, you do have a tax shelter. Meaning simply that because you have a regular W-2 job, all of the taxes that will be taken out will be returned back to you because you have so many deductions from all of these investment properties. One of the other pros about it is that you're helping, for me anyway, I'm helping so many people to enter into a place that was newly renovated, coming out of their bad situation where you have a slumlord, and no matter what they tell the slumlord, the place is still in ruin. So I'm helping them get out of those situations and coming into a new environment. That was one of the things that literally drove me, knowing that I'm acquiring properties in some of the most depressed area. And just because it's in depressed area doesn't mean that the people shouldn't have the quality of life. And unfortunately, that's not the norm for most investors. They just want to make sure that they have money. But the people was more important to me. One of the next pros is that when you buy the property properly, meaning that you buy it so low, and after you've put in the money in it to bring it back to city standard, when you sell it, there is a good windfall, okay, after you pay off all of your expenses. And that comes in handy every now and then, Unfortunately, most of the time when that happens, I end up going back and buying other houses. So that's some of the pros and cons concerning. It also allows you to do a little bit more traveling after you sell the property.
Oh yeah, enjoy it. I know that's right. All right, so then after you had your businesses, you transitioned from that, and then you went to a clothing business. So tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing with the clothing business. What's the name of it?
Okay, no problem. Now, here's the thing. I consider what I'm doing in clothing as a ministry, right? I don't consider it as a full-fledged commercial business, but I'm running it as such because it is being offered to the public, okay? It's called King's Kid Clothing, King's Kids Clothing. And it is a Christian designer label clothing company. And what it does, I take what is known as the regular garments that people often likes, and I design labels that would go on the garment. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if you're able to see. This is one of them. If you can see. Yeah. And so I take clothing that people normally just get, and what I do is I add my Christian designer label to it, and it becomes the product.
Yeah.
You see, and it's very vast. And when I say very vast, meaning that the selection are very vast. And so I in that clothing marketing company, I carry children's clothing, adult clothing. I'm big and tall. I carry female clothing, and so there's many to choose from. And the good thing about it is that when you get to the website, whatever it is that the color of the garment is, you can design your own label based on color and add it to your garment, and it will be done for you and then shipped to you in a short period of time. And it's called designer label Christian clothing, and that's what that is. It's tied to my evangelistic ministry, because it is part of being able to help believers show that this is what I believe in. I believe that I have a creator, and I am created. One of the label says Christ the King, and then under the bottom it says King's Kid Clothing. Yes.
Awesome. And so,
Absolutely.
can you share some? Well, we're about to wrap it up. Just maybe your contact information, how people can contact you, and then a last minute word of encouragement.
Absolutely. The contact information would be email. Address is Kingdom Enterprises Inc. 631 @gmail.com. And the phone number is 860-719-7146.
Awesome.
And a word of encouragement. I have been a professor who taught at a university for engineering, electronic and electrical engineer. And what I strongly advise and encourage my students to do is to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Why? Simply put, it is wonderful to, but it is so much greater to burn a path that will expound on your creativity, rather than having your creativity being toppled or a limit be put on it when you are employed. Yes, if you have to get employed just to get the experience, but always try to enter into some kind of a business venture. Right. There is no such thing as failure when you attempt to do a business. It can only be a learning experience. So brace yourself, go out and utilize the gifts that God has given you, the vision that is in your heart. Go after it.
That's right.
God may have put it there, and you will never know what the end result will be. That's until you make that first step. And the last and most important thing is that make sure in every venture you put God first. That's right. Because there are many trappings that are out there. Many trappings. And if you are not one that is so much in love with money, but you're looking to make a statement based on vision and not just the greed of having more money, you will find that over time, you will continue to succeed. But if it's only for the purpose of making money, you will make the money, but you will fail because you never made plans for that money and you never allowed God to direct your path.
Absolutely.
So go for it.
Absolutely. And that's what this is all about, the Black Business Network. We've heard many dynamic speakers on Black business opportunities and resources and services and entrepreneurs on this platform. This is done by Dr. Eric Kelly, and he is doing a phenomenal job. So I want to thank you so much for coming on and being my guest today. This is Mr. Norman Cameron, And this is Dolores Williams with Divine Connection. So thank you so much for coming on, you guys. And don't forget to connect with us. Divine Connections Marketing is my Facebook page. Make sure you like that. I have a YouTube page, which is The Divine Connections. Make sure you subscribe. Go to Instagram at Divine Connections. And also, don't forget, nominations are going on right now. So if you want to nominate your business, your pastor, your vendor, any of those, we have 28 different categories. You can go to divineconnectionsmagazine.com/events. If you want to purchase a current magazine and check out to see what business owners are in there and get their connections, you can go to divineconnectionsmagazine.com/subscriptions. And there are different opportunities for you to subscribe, whether it's digital or hard copy, so you can stay abreast of what Divine Connections is doing as well. And so I'm so excited for Eric allowing us to have this time and for us to share this information. I believe this is phenomenal and that a lot of great things are going to come out of this. So we want you to stay connected with the number one divine connector, which is Jesus Christ. And Eric, they said go another 10 minutes. Okay. So we got a few more minutes that we can go. So
All right.
we can talk a good 5 more minutes, and then maybe I'll play the video. So is there anything else that you want to share?
Absolutely. When I started out in real estate, I started out with great necessity. It was out of necessity. Oftentimes, I find that when I speak to people that they have such great ideas when I speak to them, but it must be understood that no matter how great of an idea one has, if they don't put action to it, that idea becomes stillborn. Fear is one of those things that robs people of the higher callings that they have. Fear of stepping out. That's the reason why I told you before, the best thing is always make sure you put God first, because the love that God gave us will cast out that fear. Without fear, there is no heights that you cannot go to. Now, remember now, there is this thing that I'm going to tell you that I believe everyone should hear. Life is a series of hills and valleys.
That's for sure.
That means that whether it be in your business life or in your personal life, there are going to be times when you rise and you're going to be rising like an edifice. But life doesn't mean that you're supposed to be up on the top of the mountain and live there, because you're going to find that at some point you're going to fall down and find yourself into the valley. You have to learn how to get out of the valley, because the word of God says 7 times a righteous man fall, but 7 times he gets up. So you have to learn how to modify your rising and your falling, and don't try to stay in what is called a straight line. Straight lines means that you're dead. Don't get there. Keep on rising and falling, rising and falling. If you want to stay more at the top, stay more at the top. It's called doing a building block. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Over time, when you look back and see what you have done, or see what the Lord has brought you through, it will show. You may not have certain things to show of all the things that you have done, but you have what you have to show is the knowledge and some of the creature comfort stuff. And you're going to say, how did I get here? Don't allow yourself to brag off on yourself. Brag off on the God that gave you the strength and wisdom to do it. Or else failure, true failure, is imminent. You see, when I started out with one house. And where I'm living presently, it's the 18th. Now, what I'm saying to you is that I didn't live in 18 houses, but,
Right.
but the properties by which I acquired and helped and build for others, all of those people, I was a blessing. And that's what I'm called to do as God's child, to be a blessing. I was blessed to be a blessing.
That's
It's
right.
just so now that instead of me trying to help one and two people or persons, I desire to reach 50 million people, which requires now mass media and other tools that real estate is no longer valid for me to do, to reach 50 million people with the good news and the good news of who Jesus is and the gospel of Jesus Christ, because he desires for them to be saved.
Come
And
on.
so for that reason, I've embarked into the evangelistic ministry a few years ago.
Right. And at the end of the day, only what you do for Christ is going to last. So we have all these businesses and we're doing different things.
Yes.
But if we don't acknowledge and give God glory, it doesn't mean anything. It is
Absolutely.
Him, it is our breath, and that we breathe and move and have our being, and that He gives us the skills and talents that's within us to do what He has for us to do, to be a blessing not only to ourselves, but to others and those that connect with us. Amen.
Amen. Absolutely.
Amen. Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on again. Hopefully, Eric should be on soon. So we're wrapping things up, but I do want to appreciate you for coming out, and make sure you guys, I would go get some of these clothes. Tell them again how to get to your clothing website.
The closing website, what I'll do is I'll put it as a comment.
Okay.
This way, it, it doesn't get dissolved by me just speaking it. I'll put it permanently as one of the comments. Hopefully, the first comment, how to get to all of these different places.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now, remember, the designer clothing label has a motto, or it has a driving phrase, and that is, you are a child of the living God. Let the world know who you are.
Yeah.
A king's kid.
That is. Somebody just said, can you guys share your contact information again? So go ahead and share your contact information again, please.
The company is Kingdom Enterprises, Inc. 631 at gmail.com, and the phone number is 860-719-7146. And the ministry, or the evangelistic ministry email, is jcceembassy51 at gmail.com. That's the evangelistic ministry. If they would like to send me anything there, certainly I would answer it. But that's the outreach of everything that I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And this is Dolores Williams. Email is divineconnectionsmagazine@gmail.com. You can connect me on my Facebook page, Divine Connection Marketing. My YouTube page is The Divine Connections. You can subscribe there. And my number is 336-965-0366. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here. This is Dolores Williams with Divine Connections, and whatever you do, make sure you stay connected to the number one divine connector, which is Jesus Christ. Thank you, Mr. Norman Cameron, for coming on and sharing with us. We greatly appreciate it. And now we're going to kick it off back to Mr. Eric Kelly.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. All right, and I'm gonna play this while he's